The first person who told me I had ruined my sister's wedding was my sister. Tessa stood in the service hallway behind the ballroom, with one earring missing and the skirt of her wedding dress gathered in both fists. Beyond the swinging doors, 19 adults were waiting to find out where they were supposed to sit. One of them was Evan's aunt, who had driven 9 hours and was currently holding a place card with another woman's name on it. "You had one job," Tessa said. I was still holding the venue manager's phone in one hand and my credit card in the other. "That's not true," I said. Our mother stepped between us as if I had raised my voice, which I hadn't. "Mara, please, not today. It's exactly today." "Mara," my father warned. Then Celia, the wedding planner, came through the doors carrying 2 printed seating lists. One was clipped inside her black binder. The other was the copy I had finalized at my kitchen table 4 nights earlier. She looked at me, then at Tessa. "If Mara didn't send this revision," she said, tapping the list in her binder, "who changed the list?" Tessa stopped crying. That was the moment I should have put down the phone, put away my credit card, and let the whole reception collapse under the weight of the truth. Instead, I asked the venue manager how quickly they could bring in 2 more tables. 3 months earlier, my family was drinking champagne in my parents' dining room, while Tessa complained that the bubbles hurt her nose. "They do not hurt your nose," Evan said. "They attack it. That is what bubbles are." Tessa took another sip and winced theatrically. "See?" Evan looked at me. "Has she always been like this?" "No," I said. "She used to be worse." Tessa kicked me under the table, which made my father laugh hard enough to start coughing. My mother, Diane, slid his water closer without looking at him. They had been married 38 years and had reached the stage where affection often resembled the management of small medical emergencies. The engagement ring had been on Tessa's hand for 12 days, but this was the first formal celebration. My mother had used the good china and made baked salmon, roasted asparagus, and a lemon tart she had purchased from a bakery, but transferred onto her own cake stand. If anyone asks, she'd told me while we were setting the table, I made the crust. Should I lie about the filling too? The filling is obviously professional. My boyfriend, Sam, arrived carrying 2 bottles of wine and a bunch of tulips that immediately made my mother suspicious. "Are these from a grocery store?" she asked him. "They are," he said. "They're beautiful. They were also on sale." She smiled. Sam had figured out years ago that honesty was the only form of charm my mother didn't know how to defend against. We had been together for almost 4 years, long enough that my father had stopped calling him that architect fellow, though Sam was a civil engineer and had corrected him at least 6 times. Long enough that Sam knew where my parents kept the serving platters and that Tessa hated goat cheese, but would eat it if nobody mentioned what it was. Not long enough, apparently, for my mother to include him in the family toast. "To Tessa and Evan," she said, raising her glass, "and to gaining a son." Paul lifted his glass. "Finally, somebody to help me with the grill." "You don't let anyone touch the grill," I said. "That's because nobody has demonstrated readiness." Sam leaned toward me. "I've been studying. You'll need certification. A practical exam? Mostly sausages." Under the table, his knee pressed against mine. It was a small thing. Sam was good at small things. He noticed when my shoulders climbed toward my ears and could make them drop without asking what was wrong in front of everyone. After dinner, my father and Evan moved into the den to debate baseball statistics neither of them remembered correctly. Sam went with them, mostly to prevent my father from searching things on his phone and declaring every result propaganda. My mother began wrapping leftover salmon before anybody had said they wanted it. Tessa caught my wrist as I carried plates toward the kitchen. "Wait," she said. "Come upstairs with me. You're not supposed to sneak away from your own engagement dinner. I'm the bride. Apparently I'm supposed to disappear frequently and make people wonder where I am." She pulled me up the stairs to her old bedroom, which my mother had converted into what she called a reading room. There was 1 armchair, 3 lamps, and no evidence anyone had ever read there. Tessa closed the door and stood with her back against it. "What?" I asked. She took a breath, then another. For one stupid second, I thought she was going to tell me she was having doubts about Evan. Instead, she said, "Will you be my maid of honor?" I laughed because my body did not know what else to do. Her smile flickered. That was not the response I pictured. No, really? No, Mara, I brought you up here to ask if you'd cater. I assumed Kelly. Kelly had been Tessa's best friend since college. Kelly wore matching workout sets and had once sent back a glass of tap water because it tasted judgmental. I love Kelly, Tessa said. But if something goes wrong, Kelly becomes a person who needs to be helped. I need someone who helps. There it was. The family complement, dependable, capable, the one who helps. I should have heard the assignment inside the affection, but Tessa's eyes had gone shiny, and she suddenly looked less like my glamorous younger sister and more like the woman who had once driven through freezing rain because I called her after Sam and I had our first serious fight. She had shown up at midnight in pajama pants, carrying a bag of powdered donuts and absolutely no useful advice. She'd stayed anyway. "I also want you beside me," she said quietly, "not just because you're organized." Okay. You'll do it?" "Yes." She threw both arms around me. Tessa never hugged carefully. Her ring caught in my hair, and we stood there laughing while she tried to untangle herself without pulling out a chunk of my scalp. My mother called from downstairs. "What are you two doing?" "Nothing," Tessa shouted. "You've never once yelled nothing when you were doing nothing," Diane called back. Tessa pressed a hand over her mouth. For that 1 minute, we were 14 and 20 again, conspiring over something harmless. I felt chosen in a way that embarrassed me with its intensity. Then Tessa whispered, "How soon do you think you could make a planning spreadsheet?" The spreadsheet began with 12 tabs. That was not my fault. Weddings have categories: guests, catering, music, flowers, transportation, clothing, payments, deadlines. If you put everything on one sheet, you create chaos. And chaos was what my family believed happened naturally, like weather. Sam sat beside me at our kitchen island while I built formulas for projected costs. "You know there are professionals who do this," he said. "They're hiring a planner." "Then why does the planner need your spreadsheet?" "The planner doesn't. Tessa does." He looked at the screen. "You have conditional formatting. It turns red when a payment is overdue. It's been 48 hours. Exactly. We're already behind." He slid a bowl of popcorn closer to me. "I'd like the record to show that I support you." "Thank you. And I think this is how people accidentally acquire second jobs. It's 3 months. You said that, 3 months is a weekend. The wedding date had been chosen because the Briar Glen Hotel had a cancellation. Tessa loved the ballroom's tall windows and old brick walls, and Diane loved the discount. Evan had suggested waiting until spring, but my mother said spring was oversaturated. "With what?" Sam asked when I repeated this. "Weddings, pollen, hope." I didn't ask. The first meeting with Celia took place in a small office at Briar Glen. She wore navy slacks, low heels, and the expression of a woman who had watched hundreds of families discover that chair covers cost money. "I'll manage the venue, vendors, and day of timeline," she explained. "I do not mediate family decisions." My mother smiled. "We're very easy." Celia's eyes moved briefly to me. I looked down at my notebook. Tessa wanted a candlelit ceremony, white flowers, and a reception that felt intimate but not small. Diane wanted color because all white flowers looked funereal. Paul wanted to know whether the bar package included bourbon. Evan wanted to marry Tessa. Whenever Celia asked a direct question, everybody answered. "What is your maximum guest count?" 140, Evan said. 150 would be safer, Diane said. "We're inviting 160, but some won't come," Tessa said. Paul leaned toward me. "Do you know if the bourbon is name brand?" I wrote everything down. When the meeting ended, Celia asked Tessa to email one primary family contact for logistical questions. "That should be Mara," Diane said immediately. "She's the reliable one." My mother meant it proudly. That was what made it difficult to object. Tessa looped her arm through mine. "You don't mind, do you?" Sam's voice appeared in my head. Second job. No, I said, I don't mind. Celia handed me her card. I'll keep bride decisions with the bride. Logistics can go through you. Perfect, Tessa said. In the parking lot, my mother announced that Celia was cold. She has boundaries, I said. Cold boundaries. She told us exactly what she does. And what she doesn't do, Diane replied. At length. It was one sentence. It was a pointed sentence. Tessa was already beside Evan's car, staring at her phone with her mouth slightly open. What happened? I asked. The florist's estimate. Evan looked over her shoulder. That's more than my first car. Your first car caught fire. It still had value before that. Tessa handed me the phone. Can you talk to them? About what? I don't know. Flowers. Do you want fewer? No. Different ones? No. Then what should I ask? She looked at me as if the answer was obvious. Why they cost that much? I called the florist the next morning. That became the rhythm. Tessa dreamed, Diane expanded, Evan tried to keep peace, and I translated each impulse into a deadline or a dollar amount. Some of it was fun. Tessa and I ate grocery store sushi on my living room floor while choosing invitations. She rejected 12 shades of cream because they were aggressively beige. I reminded her cream was beige. She accused me of having no romance in my soul. Other parts felt like trying to hold water in my hands. Diane added names to the guest list in clusters. A former neighbor, 2 couples from church, a woman she had not seen since a cruise to Alaska. You disliked that woman for the entire cruise, I reminded her. We resolved it. You said she weaponized breakfast. She saved our seats at a show. Every edition came with history I was apparently too young to understand at 35. One Sunday, I arrived at my parents' house and found Diane at the breakfast table, with the printed guest list, a yellow legal pad, and a pen tucked behind her ear. How many people are we at? She asked. 158 invited. 106 confirmed. Good. I have a few more. She slid the legal pad toward me. There were 16 names on it. Mom, no. She didn't look up from her coffee. Don't be dramatic. The room holds 140. Not everyone will attend. These people are not replacing declines. You already invited them. I gave verbal save the dates. You did what? Her jaw tightened. They invited us to their daughters' weddings. There is such a thing as reciprocity. There is also such a thing as a fire code. Tessa walked in from the hallway still wearing her coat. She looked at the legal pad, then at me. Can we just add them for now? She asked. No. For now becomes the final list. Diane turned to her. I told you she'd make this difficult. Tessa closed her eyes. That should have been my warning, not the 16 names, not my mother's offended silence. It was the way Tessa looked at me, already tired, already cornered, already hoping I would become the person she could blame for saying no. I'm not making it difficult, I said. I'm describing the difficulty you already made. Diane set down her coffee with exaggerated care. Listen to how you talk to me. Mom, you invited 16 people to a full wedding. Tessa invited them. Tessa's head came up. You said you were just letting them know the date. A verbal save the date is not an invitation. It has the word date in it. It doesn't have the word come. I stared at both of them. I turned to Tessa. Do you want these people at your wedding? She rubbed the edge of the legal pad with her thumb. Some of them. Which ones? I don't know them well enough to rank them. Then why are they being invited? Diane made a wounded sound. They matter to me. Tessa looked at her. I know. And this wedding is about joining families, not excluding people. No one is excluding them, I said. They were never on the list. Exactly, Diane said, which is why I wrote them down. My father entered wearing slippers and carrying the Sunday paper, took one look at the 3 of us, and back toward the hallway. Paul, Diane said. He stopped. Your wife invited 16 extra people to a wedding with no seats, I told him. He considered this. Can we get more seats? Not in the room. What if they're smaller chairs? Diane pointed at him. Thank you. That wasn't support, I said. That was geometry. Paul opened the paper as though he had been released from questioning. I told them we would wait until the RSVP deadline. If enough guests declined, we could revisit the names. Diane said that was reasonable in the tone she used when she intended to do whatever she wanted later. As I folded the legal pad page and put it in my purse, she said, "That belongs to me. The names are already in the spreadsheet. Then why are you taking it? Because if I leave it here, you'll add arrows." She looked offended because she had already drawn 2. Tessa followed me to the front door. "You could be a little softer with her," she whispered. "I used math. You know what I mean." "No, I know what she means when she says it. I don't know what you mean." Tessa glanced back toward the kitchen. "She's excited. She's out of control. She's our mother. All 3 can be true." She buttoned her coat even though she was staying. "Please don't turn this into a thing," she said. "It is literally 16 things." Her mouth twitched despite herself, but she fought the smile. "I'm serious." "So am I. She's putting you in a position where you either hurt people later or spend money you don't have. Evan and I can figure it out." "Great, figure it out, and tell me what you decide." Her face changed. It was slight, just a tightening around her eyes, but I recognized it. She had expected me to solve the problem and let her dislike the solution. "You're the maid of honor," she said. "I am. Aren't you supposed to help?" "Yes. Help is not the same as make every bad decision disappear." She looked past me through the glass in the front door. "You're really good at making people feel stupid." That landed because it was not entirely false. I had spent years becoming precise in a family where vagueness was used as an escape hatch. Precision could become a blade if I was angry enough. "I'm not trying to make you feel stupid," I said. "It doesn't have to be on purpose to work." She went back to the kitchen before I could answer. Sam was waiting in the car with the engine running and a paper bag between his feet. "Peace offering," he said as I climbed in. "For what? I bought a cinnamon roll without asking if you wanted one. That is an act of aggression. I accept full responsibility." I put the legal pad page in the glove compartment because I did not want to look at it. He watched me tear the cinnamon roll in half. "How many people did your mother add? How do you know she added people?" "You have the expression." "What expression?" "The one where you mentally create a PowerPoint called Why Everyone is Wrong." 16. He whistled. "She verbally save-the-dated them. Is that legal?" "Apparently in my mother's jurisdiction." He drove for a block before saying, "You know you can tell them no." I did. "I mean, you can tell them no and let the no remain no. That's not how it works. That's how no works almost everywhere." I ate my half of the cinnamon roll without answering. The following Saturday was dress shopping. Diane had booked appointments at 3 bridal boutiques in one day, which Celia had gently described as ambitious. Kelly described it as iconic. Kelly arrived at the first boutique in cream-colored boots and hugged Tessa while filming them both on her phone. "Bride day," she sang into the camera. "It's 10 in the morning," I said. She turned the camera toward me. "And this is Mara, who hates joy. I hate being filmed before coffee." "You're holding coffee. I haven't trusted it yet." Kelly laughed and lowered the phone. I had expected not to like her. That would have been convenient. Instead, she was funny, affectionate, and completely aware that she was not reliable. "I brought tissues," she announced. Diane opened her purse and revealed 3 travel packs. "I brought decorative tissues," Kelly amended. Tessa tried on 9 dresses. Diane cried over the first, criticized the neckline of the second, and said the third made Tessa's torso look abbreviated. "What does that mean?" Tessa asked. "It means the proportions are not honoring you." Kelly leaned toward me. "Your mother could make a compliment file for bankruptcy. She thinks she's helping. That makes it worse." The 9th dress was plain compared with the others. Ivory silk, fitted through the waist, with a square neckline and a skirt that moved when Tessa moved. She came out of the fitting room holding the fabric away from her legs. Nobody spoke. Tessa looked at herself in the mirror. The saleswoman adjusted the train and stepped back. Say something, Tessa said. Diane pressed 2 fingers to her lips. Kelly started crying. I stood and walked behind my sister. In the mirror, we looked more alike than we did face to face. Same dark eyebrows, same pointed chin from our father. Tessa had our mother's ability to fill a room. I had inherited her shoulders. You look like yourself, I said. Tessa's eyes met mine in the mirror. Is that good? It's perfect. Her face folded. She turned and reached for me, and I was careful not to spill my coffee on $6,000 of silk. Later, while Diane negotiated alterations, as if the saleswoman had personally set international trade policy, Tessa and I sat together on the fitting room platform. I'm sorry about Sunday, she said. So am I. I know Mom is being crazy. She's excited. Tessa rolled her eyes. You don't have to use her defense. I thought I was being softer. She bumped her bare shoulder against mine. It's unsettling. Stop. We'll handle the list. I don't want to hurt her feelings. I know, and I don't want to hurt Evan's feelings. I know, and I don't want a wedding where people are eating in the lobby. I'll add that to the requirements tab. She laughed, then rested her head against my shoulder. You'll tell me if I become awful, right? I have a notification system. Conditional formatting? You turn red. For the next few weeks, she was almost easy to help. She made decisions. She approved the florist's revised estimate after replacing peonies with garden roses. Evan negotiated with the band. Kelly planned a bachelorette weekend that somehow involved matching green pajamas and a prohibition against discussing work. Even Diane behaved, if you ignored the 5-page email she sent Celia about taper candles. I began to think the guest list had been one contained problem. Then my father called at 6:30 on a Tuesday morning. I need a small favor, he said. Small favors were how my family introduced events involving parking garages. What happened? Nothing happened. I have the cardiology follow-up at 11. I know. Mom put it on the shared calendar. She has the cake tasting. The cake tasting is at 4. There's apparently preparation. What preparation is needed to eat cake? You know your mother. I did. Diane had decided Paul should not drive after appointments, even though no doctor had said that. She was available but disliked the medical complex because the elevators were slow. I have a client call at 10:30, I said. Can you move it? Why can't Mom move cake preparation? A pause. She's already stressed about the wedding. I looked across the kitchen at Sam, who was pouring coffee into a travel mug. He watched my face and mouthed, "No." I turned away from him. I can pick you up at 9:45, I said. Sam set the mug down harder than necessary. After the call, he said, Your 10:30 is with Baltimore. I can take it from the hospital cafeteria. You hate taking calls in public. It's fine. Mara, it's one appointment. It's never one appointment. He was not angry at my father. That would have been simpler. He was angry at me for making the choice so quickly that nobody else had to feel the weight of it. Mom is doing the cake tasting with Tessa. At 4. She wants to be prepared. For frosting? I opened the refrigerator even though I didn't need anything. Sam lowered his voice. You were up until 1 fixing invitation addresses because your sister decided apartment numbers looked ugly. She didn't say they looked ugly. She said they disrupted the visual line. That was Kelly. That is not a better answer. I closed the refrigerator. What do you want me to do? Call my dad back and tell him to take an Uber? I want it to occur to your family that your time belongs to you before it occurs to me. The sentence sat between us. Then my phone rang. Tessa. I answered because, of course, I did. Please don't be mad, she said. What happened? The invitations came. And? Mom might have added cards for some of her people. I looked toward the counter where Sam's hand was still resting beside the coffee mug. How many is some? Tessa went quiet. Tessa. All 16. Behind her, I heard my mother say, They were already printed. Do not mail them, I said. My mother's voice came closer to the phone. They have stamps. Stamps are not legally binding. I paid for them. I will buy the stamps from you. That's ridiculous. Tessa, are the invitations still at the house? A pause, then, yes. Put them somewhere Mom can't get them. Diane said. I can hear you. I know. They're my friends, Mara. You cannot confiscate their invitations like I'm a child, then stop sneaking names onto a wedding list, like one. Sam closed his eyes. It was the wrong thing to say. Not inaccurate, but wrong in the way a match was wrong near gasoline. My mother inhaled. You have become incredibly unpleasant, and you invited 16 people after the bride told you the room was full. The bride did not tell me that. I waited. Tessa, I said it was getting full. Getting full is not full, Diane said. The venue has a fixed capacity. It doesn't get fuller after full. Everything with you is fixed and final. People are not numbers on a spreadsheet. At a catered event, people are absolutely numbers. Sam quietly picked up his coffee and left the kitchen. I heard our front door close. Tessa lowered her voice. Can you just come over? I have to take Dad to the cardiologist. You're doing that? Apparently Mom needs 4 hours to prepare for cake. I didn't ask her to prepare. Then maybe you could tell her that. Diane said something I couldn't make out. What? I asked. She said, never mind. She'll take Dad. Good. You didn't have to sound happy about it. I am happy. The person who made the appointment is taking him to it. Why are you acting like we're using you? The question was so cleanly shaped that for a second I had no answer. Then I looked at the invitation mock-up on my counter, the folder of vendor contracts beside it, and my laptop still open to the spreadsheet I had worked on until 1 that morning. I need to get ready for work, I said. Mara, put the invitations somewhere safe. Tell Mom they are not going out. I'll call Celia about whether we have any flexibility. I ended the call before either of them could make my sentence mean something else. Sam was sitting in his car in the driveway. I went outside without a coat and knocked on the passenger window. He unlocked the door. You left, I said as I climbed in. I moved 20 feet. That is technically leaving. I thought you might need to finish the international summit. I rubbed both hands over my face. I'm sorry. For what? For taking the call. That would be a strange thing to apologize for everything around the call. He watched a man in running shorts pass our driveway. It was 37 degrees, which suggested either commitment or a personal crisis. I don't want to be the person who monitors how often you talk to your family, Sam said. I don't want to keep score. I know. But you keep giving them points. And somehow I'm the one who feels petty for noticing. You're not petty. I made coffee. Your dad called. You agreed to rearrange your work before I had poured mine. I didn't go, because another emergency replaced it. The car smelled like the pine air freshener he denied buying. I tucked my hands beneath my thighs. What do you want me to do differently? He finally looked at me. Pause. That's it? Pause long enough to ask yourself whether you want to say yes. What if the answer is yes? Then at least it'll be your yes. I leaned back against the headrest. You rehearsed that? Since the cake preparation. Despite myself, I laughed. He touched the back of my neck and pulled me toward him until my forehead rested against his shoulder. You're freezing, he said. I came out without a coat. I noticed. You could have moved the car closer. I was already in the driveway. There's that rigid thinking. He kissed my hair. Go inside, Mara. The invitations did not go out that day. They went out the next morning. Diane dropped them at the post office on her way to a dentist appointment and informed Tessa afterward. Tessa called me from her car, crying so hard I had to ask her to pull into a parking lot. She said they'd already been invited verbally, so not sending the cards would be humiliating. For her. I know. Did you tell Evan? No. Tessa. I will. When? When I'm not hysterical. That's reasonable. Settle down and tell him tonight. What if he gets mad? He should get mad. At me? You let Mom print the invitations. I didn't let her. You knew she was doing it. You make everything sound like a trial. No, I'm asking what happened. I called you, didn't I? The implication hung there. She had reported the problem to the correct department. What more could be expected? Tessa, I can help you figure out what to do. I cannot be responsible for decisions I wasn't allowed to make. I didn't say you were. You called me before you called your fiancé, because you don't panic. I do panic. I just do it without an audience. That must be nice. I almost asked her what part sounded nice, but she was crying again. Go home, I said. Drink some water. Tell Evan. Will you be there? No. Why? Because you're marrying him, not me. She gave a wet, startled laugh. Thank God, rude. You'd make me sign things. Only basic terms. She was quiet for a moment. You're not really mad at me, are you? I am, actually. Oh, but I still love you. She sniffed. That sounded extremely conditional. It wasn't. That's the point. Evan called me that evening. I was chopping onions while Sam stood at the stove making chili. He pointed at my phone when Evan's name appeared. Pause, he said. I let it ring twice. Good job, he said. Personal growth. I answered on the third ring. Did you know Diane mailed 16 invitations? Evan asked. Hello to you too. I'm sorry. Hello. Did you know? I found out this morning, and nobody thought to call me? I told Tessa to tell you. She did 6 hours later, after I asked why she was crying into a container of hummus. That sounds like Tessa. It was roasted red pepper. It looked alarming. Sam held out his hand for the chopped onions. I passed him the cutting board. What do you want to do? I asked. I want to unmail them. Not currently an option. I called the venue. They cannot add tables, I know. I called Celia. She also knows. Celia knows most things. She said your mother asked last week about putting tables in the hallway. I stopped chopping. She did what? Apparently the answer was no. The hallway outside the ballroom was narrow, carpeted, and directly across from the restrooms. My mother had been prepared to seat 16 adults there, like overflow at a medical conference. Did Tessa know? No. That answer came too fast. Evan heard it too. Do you think she knew? He asked. I think you should ask her. Mara. Evan. He sighed. Does your family ever answer a question? We answer them. We just make you regret asking. He was silent, then said, I'm going to talk to Diane. I imagine the conversation. Evan attempting reason, my mother hearing accusation, Tessa trying to reduce the temperature by agreeing with whoever was currently speaking. Talk to Tessa first. I did. She asked me not to upset her mother. There it is. What does that mean? It means if you talk to Mom, Tessa will be angry with you for making Mom angry, and Mom will be angry with me because she'll assume I made you talk to her. You didn't. That has never been required. I'm still doing it. Okay. You don't sound convinced. I'm convinced you'll do it. I'm not convinced it will help. He surprised me. He drove to my parents' house that night, sat across from Diane at the kitchen table, and told her she had no right to invite anyone without his and Tessa's approval. He did not shout. He did not apologize for the subject. When Diane said the additional guests were people she loved, Evan said love did not create chairs. My father later described that as a little aggressive, though he also admitted it was a good line. Diane cried. Tessa cried because Diane cried. By 9:30, I had 6 missed calls and a text from my father that read, "Call your mother. She is devastated." I did not call. At 10, Tessa texted, "I hope you're happy." Sam read the message over my shoulder because I handed him the phone. "Are you?" he asked. "No." "Are you responsible?" "No." "Would calling improve anything?" "No." He gave the phone back. "Then I recommend chili." I ate 2 bowls and spent the entire meal thinking about my mother crying at the kitchen table. At 11:15, Paul called Sam. That was new. Sam put the phone on speaker after asking if I wanted him to answer. "Everything all right?" he said. "Not really," my father replied. "Diane's very hurt. I'm sorry to hear that. She thinks Mara sent Evan over here. I'm sitting beside Mara. She didn't. Well, maybe not sent. What would you call it? A conversation may have occurred. Between Mara and Evan? Yes, it did. Evan called her after Tessa told him about the invitations." Paul paused. "Tessa told him?" She did. Another pause. My father was not stupid. He had simply spent decades choosing the version of events that required the least action from him. I see, he said. From the couch beside me, I whispered, "Ask him who was supposed to tell Evan." Sam shook his head. Paul cleared his throat. "I suppose this is between them." "It sounds like it," Sam said. "Still, family gets complicated." "That also sounds true." My father thanked him as though Sam had provided a service and ended the call. "You let him off," I said. "I'm not his daughter. Lucky. I'm also not entering the wedding command structure. You're already in it. No, I'm adjacent. Like Switzerland. You moved chairs at my cousin's wedding. Humanitarian aid." I smiled, but the next morning I called my father. I told myself I wanted to make sure his cardiology appointment had gone well. It had. Then I let him explain that Diane felt disrespected in her own home. I listened for 11 minutes before asking whether he thought mailing those invitations was acceptable. "That part was probably ill-advised," he said. "Probably? Your mother has been under pressure. So has Tessa." "Exactly. Which is why we all need to be calm. In my family, calm meant nobody confronted the person creating the problem. The rest of us were expected to become quieter around it." Celia scheduled a meeting for the following Thursday. Tessa arrived holding an iced coffee and sat beside Evan without touching him. Diane came in wearing lipstick, which she generally did when she expected opposition. Paul asked whether he was necessary and was told yes by 4 people at once. Celia placed a capacity chart in the center of the table. 140 guests, she said. That includes the wedding party and their partners. Diane glanced at me when she said partners. "We now have 174 invitations in circulation," Celia continued. "You may get enough declines, you may not. I need everyone to understand that if more than 140 accept, you will have to reduce the list or move the reception." "We're not moving," Tessa said. "Then no further invitations." "No one is suggesting more," Diane replied. Celia looked at her for one silent second too long. Evan covered his mouth. I stared at my notebook so my mother would not see me smile. After the meeting, Tessa caught me near the elevator. "I need you to stop enjoying this," she said. "Enjoying what?" "Being right. I don't enjoy being right when being right creates 34 homeless wedding guests. You know what I mean." I looked at her. "You keep saying that." The elevator opened. Diane and Paul stepped inside, but Tessa stayed with me. Her anger drained as soon as the doors closed. "What if they all come?" she asked. "Then we deal with it." "How?" "I don't know yet." Her fingers tightened around her iced coffee. "There has to be a way to take people off," she said. "They've been invited. I mean other people." I felt something cold settle beneath my ribs. "What other people?" She looked away. "The ones who won't mind." "Nobody won't mind," I said. "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. People mind being told they mattered enough to invite but not enough to feed. I'm not talking about random guests. I mean people who love us. That makes it worse." Tessa stabbed the straw through the ice in her cup. "Evan has college friends he barely sees. He invited them. And some cousins. He invited them too. He hasn't talked to one of them in over a year. That cousin already booked a hotel." She looked at me sharply. "How do you know?" "Because I'm the family contact." "Oh, good. You can be sarcastic." "I'm not being sarcastic. This is why Celia had us track travel. So there's nothing we can do. There are things you can do. You can wait for the RSVP deadline. You can pay to move the reception. You can tell Mom her guests were invited by mistake, which would humiliate her, yes." Tessa stared at the numbers printed on the side of her cup. I wanted to touch her arm. I also wanted to shake her. Both impulses felt like love, which was part of the problem. "Maybe it won't matter," I said. "We still have declines coming. You don't believe that." "I believe it's possible. That's what people say when they don't believe something." The second elevator arrived. Tessa stepped inside alone and turned to face me. "Please figure it out," she said as the doors closed. I stood in the hallway with my notebook against my chest. That evening, an RSVP arrived from one of Diane's Alaska cruise friends. 2 attending, beef entrees, no dietary restrictions. My mother texted the family group, "Wonderful news, the Langfords can come." Evan responded with a thumbs down. Diane replied, "I assume that was meant to be a thumbs up." Tessa called me before the argument could leave the group chat. "Can you tell him not to antagonize her? He used one thumb. It was the wrong thumb. The invitations were the wrong invitations." "Mara, have you asked him why he's angry?" "I know why he's angry." "Then you've saved time." She groaned. "You two have become exactly alike." I took that as a compliment and did not tell her. The RSVP deadline was still 3 weeks away, which gave everyone time to behave as if the problem might solve itself. My mother sent cheerful updates whenever one of her extra guests accepted and remained silent whenever anybody else did. Evan began entering responses into the spreadsheet before I could, usually with comments in the notes column. "Mom's hairdresser, apparently essential." I deleted the comments because Tessa had access. He added them back. By the following weekend, he and I had developed an entire private language through spreadsheet cells. He colored Diane's additions pale orange. I changed them to gray. He changed them to black. I messaged him that black made the names impossible to read. He replied, "Symbolism." It was the most I had ever liked him. Tessa's bridal shower took place at my parents' house on a Sunday afternoon. Diane had wanted a restaurant, but every private room she liked required a minimum that made her gasp, so she decided home would feel more personal. In practice, personal meant I arrived at 8 in the morning to move furniture. Sam carried the dining table's extra leaf down to the basement while Paul supervised. "Rotate left," Paul said. "I am rotating left. My left." "Your left is not relevant to the table." Paul looked at me. He's touchy. "He's holding 80 pounds of oak. I carried that table into this house." "You hired movers," I said. I directed them. Kelly arrived with 6 bags of decorations and no tape. She had ordered a balloon arch online because the photographs made it look simple. The photographs had lied. At 10:30, the 3 of us were on the living room floor surrounded by partially inflated beige balloons that looked less like an arch and more like a fungal infection. "This is not bridal," Kelly said. "What is bridal balloon geometry?" Sam asked. "Upward. That's not geometry. Then why aren't you fixing it?" He looked at me. "I've been drafted. You walked into the room with upper body strength. I regret my choices." Tessa came downstairs in a blue dress, saw the balloon pile, and laughed until she had to hold the banister. Diane appeared behind her. "It's not finished," Kelly said quickly. "I can see that. We're going for organic. It appears contagious." My mother walked away. Kelly pointed after her. "See? Weaponized breakfast." "That was the cruise woman," I said. I'm taking the phrase. The shower was loud and crowded and, against my expectations, lovely. Tessa moved between groups with a softness she did not always show at home. She knelt beside my father's sister to admire a hand-embroidered tablecloth. She thanked each person as if their gift had surprised her personally. When Diane began correcting the way I had arranged the food labels, Tessa took the cards out of her hand. "Mom, go sit down." "I'm only helping. Mara has been here since 8. "That's because she likes this." Tessa looked across the room at me. "No," she said. "It's because we asked her." Diane's face went still. Tessa kissed her cheek before the silence could harden. "Go drink something. Please." It was a small defense. Nobody applauded. My mother went to the kitchen and complained to Paul instead. Still, I carried it with me. After the last guest left, I began stacking plates in the kitchen. Tessa came in barefoot, holding 2 champagne flutes by their stems. "Leave those," she said. "If I leave them, Mom will wash them while loudly not needing help." "She can." I looked at her. "I'm serious," she said. "Go home." Diane was in the dining room peeling tape from a gift bag with the focus of a surgeon. "She'll be furious. She'll survive. Who are you?" "The bride." "Apparently people obey me now. Not in this family. Go before I lose my nerve." I found Sam in the basement where Paul had trapped him beside the table leaf and a shelf of old tax records. "We've been released," I said. Paul frowned. I was just showing him the dehumidifier. It's very impressive, Sam said. You didn't see the drainage hose. I imagined it. In the car, I told Sam what Tessa had said to our mother. That was good, he said. It was. You sound suspicious. I'm not suspicious. You're waiting to find the hidden fee. I watched my parents' house disappear behind us. Tessa isn't a bad person. I've never said she was. You think she uses me. I think she loves you. I also think she uses you. That sounds contradictory. It would be if people were simple. He reached across the console and rested his hand on my knee. You can be grateful she defended you today, he said. It doesn't erase the other days. Sometimes I resented him for saying exactly the thing I needed in a tone that made arguing feel childish. I hate your emotional balance, I said. I've been practicing in the car. The good feeling lasted until Tuesday. Celia emailed the updated response count. 132 attending, 14 outstanding, 8 days until the deadline. 11 of Diane's 16 editions had accepted. 2 had declined. 3 had not responded. At lunch, I called Tessa. We need to talk numbers. I'm eating. You can eat and hear numbers. That sounds like something a prison guard would say. How many people are with you? Just Kelly. In the background, Kelly said, I consent to numbers. I gave them the count. Tessa stopped chewing. If half the outstanding guests come, we're at 139, I said. That gives us 1 seat. For who? Nobody. It gives us a margin of 1. What if more than half come? We need a real contingency, Kelly asked. Can I make a suggestion that may be stupid? Yes, Tessa and I said together. What about vendor meals? Do they count? The vendors eat in another room, I said. Excellent. I have exhausted my expertise. Tessa pushed her food around. I could hear the fork scraping the container. What does Celia say? Same thing she said at the meeting. Do you think she likes me? What? She's always so severe. She's trying to keep you from inviting 150 people into a room for 140. That didn't answer my question. I don't think she dislikes you. You paused. I was choosing an honest sentence. Kelly said, This is why people find older sisters stressful. I'm only 5 years older, still older. I ignored her. Tessa, we need to decide what happens at 141. I don't know. You can't say that on the deadline. I don't know today either. We could call the hotel about a different room. I hate the other ballroom. We could reduce some of the decor and put the difference toward the expansion fee. Mom already paid deposits. We could, I said. I don't know. Kelly went quiet. Tessa lowered her voice. Why do you keep coming at me? I'm trying to prevent the problem you asked me to figure out. You sound like you want me to fail. The accusation was so unexpected that I laughed once. That's a terrible thing to say. I'm overwhelmed. So you can say anything? No. I'm sorry. But her apology came too quickly. It was a coin slid across a counter so the transaction could continue. I closed the spreadsheet. We'll talk after the deadline. Mara, I mean it. I'm not asking you again until we have the final count. She called me twice that night. I let both calls go to voicemail. On the third, she left a message. I know you're mad. I'm sorry. Really. I just feel like everyone gets to have an opinion and I'm the one who has to make the choice. Mom gets hurt, Evan gets angry, Celia says no, and you tell me why every option is impossible. I know that isn't your fault. I know you're doing everything. I just wish, for once, somebody would tell me it's going to be okay and not hand me another decision. I listened to it in bed beside Sam. He did not ask what she said. He waited. I should call her, I whispered. Do you want to? Yes. Then call. Tessa answered before the first full ring. I'm sorry, she said. I know. No, I mean it. I'm being awful. You're being stressed. That's Mom's defense. Yes, I don't want to be her. You're not. How do you know? Because you ask. Her breath shook. Is it going to be okay? She asked. I looked at the dark ceiling. Yes, I said. It was the answer she needed, and I loved her enough to give it. The final RSVP arrived 8 days later, 143 attending. Tessa came to my apartment with the printed guest list folded in her purse. Sam was still at work. She sat at the kitchen island, spread the pages between us, and uncapped a yellow highlighter. "What's that for?" I asked. She ran her thumb along the names without looking at me. "We only need 3, she said. 3 people who'll understand." I put my hand over the highlighter before she could touch it to the paper. "No. I haven't even said who. You don't get to choose 3 people who love you enough to forgive being humiliated. Stop using that word. What would you call it? A mistake." The invitations were a mistake. Calling people after they accepted would be a decision. Tessa pulled the highlighter from beneath my palm. "Evan has 2 college friends he hasn't seen since last summer. They flew in for your engagement party. They were already visiting. One of them changed his work schedule for this." "How do you know everything about people you barely know?" "Because I asked for their travel information." She flipped to the second page. "What about these cousins, Sonia and Gabe?" "He said he isn't close with them. They booked a room at Briar Glen." "Everyone booked a room there. We had a block they used because you invited them." "I know how invitations work, Mara." "Do you?" She capped the highlighter hard enough to crack the plastic. For several seconds, neither of us moved. The refrigerator hummed behind me. Outside, somebody dragged a trash bin down the alley, the wheels rattling over every seam in the pavement. "I'm trying to save my wedding," she said. "No. You're trying to save Mom from the consequences of what she did. Why does it always have to be Mom versus everybody with you? Because she invited 16 people after you told her not to, and now you're sitting in my kitchen choosing people from Evan's side to remove. Some are from our side. That does not make it fair." "I didn't say it was fair. Then don't do it." She stood so quickly the stool scraped backward. "Great. Thank you. Extremely helpful. What did you want me to do? Pick for you?" "I wanted options." "I gave you options. You gave me expensive options and cruel options, then stood there acting morally superior because I couldn't choose one. You mailed none of those invitations. Neither did I. You knew Mom printed them. I called you, and I told you to stop her." Tessa grabbed the guest list. The pages caught against the fruit bowl, sending 2 apples onto the floor. One rolled beneath the dishwasher. She looked down at it, and something in her face collapsed. "I can't do this," she said. Her anger had vanished so completely that mine suddenly felt embarrassing. I bent to pick up the other apple. "Don't leave like this. You want me to stay so you can keep explaining why I'm wrong?" "No. I want you to stay because we have to solve it. You just said we can't." "I said we can't uninvite people. That's the only solution we can afford." She folded the list along its old crease, then folded it again. "Does Evan know you're here?" I asked. Her eyes shifted. "Tessa, he knows about the count. Does he know you brought a highlighter? That makes it sound psychotic. It makes it sound like stationary. He said he didn't want to discuss it tonight. So you came to me. You're my sister. I am not the place you bring decisions your fiancé has refused to make." Her mouth opened. The front door unlocked. Sam came in carrying his laptop bag and a paper grocery sack. He stopped when he saw us at the island. "Should I go back outside?" "No," Tessa said. "Yes," I said at the same time. He considered us. "I'm going to put milk in the refrigerator. I have no political position on anything else." Tessa laughed once despite herself. Then she pressed both hands to her face. Sam put the groceries away without asking questions. He moved around us carefully like we were a spill he did not want to spread. "I'll call Celia tomorrow," I told Tessa. "Maybe there's something we missed." "There isn't." "Probably not." That was comforting. "I'll still call." She tucked the list into her purse. "Don't tell Evan I came here." "No." Her head snapped up. "I'm not going to call him," I said. "But if he asks me directly, I won't lie. You could just say we talked about the guest list. You brought names to cut. I didn't cut them because I stopped you. You didn't stop me." I changed my mind. Sam shut the refrigerator. Tessa glanced at him, then lowered her voice. You always have to own the good version, don't you? She left before I could decide whether that was unfair. The door closed. Sam took a carton of eggs back out of the refrigerator, stared at it, and returned it to the same shelf. I don't need details, he said. I would like to know if we're angry. We are. At me? No. Excellent. Omelets? I sat at the island and stared at the crack in the yellow highlighter cap. She wanted to uninvite 3 people. He took a skillet from the cabinet. Which 3? Evan's friends? His cousins? She hadn't decided. Not her mother's additions. No. He set the skillet on the stove but did not turn on the burner. Why not? Because then Mom would be embarrassed. And strangers are easier? They're not strangers. Right. They're easier because they won't be in the kitchen tomorrow. That was exactly it. Sam opened the egg carton. Was I on the list? No. The answer came quickly enough to sound defensive. He nodded and cracked an egg against the bowl. You weren't. I heard you. There was no list. She was just looking at names. With a highlighter. How did you know about that? It's broken on the counter, counselor. I picked it up and dropped it into the junk drawer. Sam whisked the eggs. I'm not accusing her of anything. You're doing that thing where you say a neutral sentence in an accusatory rhythm. That sounds useful. I'll bring it to work. I came around the island and wrapped my arms around his waist from behind. His shirt was cold from outside. You're my partner, I said. You're not optional. He rested one hand over mine. I know. But he said it gently, which meant he did not know as securely as I wanted him to. Celia had no hidden solution. There are 140 chairs, she said when I called. Not 140 comfortable chairs and 3 less comfortable chairs. The fire marshal approved that room for 140 seated guests. What if the hotel moves a cabinet? No. What cabinet? I don't know. I'm bargaining. I can ask whether the larger ballroom is still available. Tessa hates it. The larger ballroom does not know that. The expansion fee included the room difference, additional staffing, and revised rentals. It was less than I expected and more than Tessa and Evan had left in the budget. I emailed the amount to them. Evan replied, First. We can pull it from the honeymoon. Tessa replied, Absolutely not. Then Diane, Why am I on this email? Evan, Because your guests are the reason we need it. Tessa called me 30 seconds later. You included Mom? She was already copied on the venue emails. You could have removed her. Why? So Evan wouldn't send something like that. He stated a fact. He used the phrase, your guests. They are her guests. Can everybody stop being technically correct for 5 minutes? No, I said. That is longer than I'm comfortable with. She hung up on me. For 1 full day, the wedding remained 3 people too large. Then the Langfords called Diane to say Mr. Langford needed dental surgery, and they would not be traveling. That brought us down to 141. The following morning, another of her additions declined after her work schedule changed. 140, the exact limit. My mother called it a blessing. Evan called it statistical mercy. I called Celia and listened as she updated the count. No margin, she said. I know, if one person brings an unconfirmed guest, we have a problem. I'll put it in bold. You joke, but please do that. I made the note red. When Diane complained that the Langfords had waited too long to decline, I walked into my parents' laundry room and shut the door until I could answer civilly. The seating chart took 6 nights. Tessa wanted younger guests near the dance floor, older guests away from the speakers, and no table where everyone was single because it would feel assigned. Evan's parents, Linda and Frank, wanted his aunt near them, but not his uncle, who had divorced the aunt 11 years earlier and still referred to it as the misunderstanding. Diane wanted all 16 of her original additions together until she saw the table would be near the service door. Then she wanted them distributed among relatives who had never met them. They're sociable, she said. Then they can socialize with one another. They'll think we put them at the leftover table. They are the leftover table. Tessa kicked my ankle beneath my parents' dining table. I moved the table to the windows. Sam was assigned beside me at table 4, close enough to the head table that I could get up when Tessa needed me. He had chosen the chicken, though I knew he would end up eating half my salmon after I got distracted. "Can he sit with Paul's sister instead?" Diane asked. "Why?" "She likes him. He likes me. You'll be moving around. He is still sitting with me." Diane tapped his name with one manicured nail. "It's just a chair, Mara. Yes, his chair." I didn't say he couldn't come. Nobody had accused her of saying that. Across the table, Tessa was studying the chart too carefully. Evan noticed. "What?" "Nothing. Do not say nothing during a seating meeting. I was looking." "At Sam's name?" Tessa's eyes met mine. "Mom's right that Mara won't sit much," she said. "But leave him there." It was meant as a defense. I heard the negotiation inside it. 4 nights before the wedding, I finished the master list at my kitchen table. Every confirmed guest had a seat. Every meal matched a name. Sam was still beside me at table 4. I sent it to Celia, Tessa, and Evan. Celia replied, "Received. This is now final." Tessa responded with a heart. The next afternoon, she was at my parents' house when Diane pulled up the list on her phone. 140 names, no margin, and Sam Bennett entered under my last name by mistake, sitting in a chair my mother had never believed belonged to him. "He isn't even family," Diane said. Tessa answered immediately. "He's Mara's family." Then Diane began listing the people who mattered more, and my sister went quiet. I did not hear that conversation when it happened. I learned about it later, in pieces, after everyone had developed a preferred version. At the time, I was at home labeling plastic bins: ceremony, reception, emergency, personal. Sam stood in the doorway of our spare room, reading the labels. "Which bin am I in?" "Personal." "Good. I was worried I'd been classified as emergency. You can be both." He picked up the emergency bin. "Why is this heavier than the others? Scissors, tape, sewing kit, stain remover, pain reliever, antacids, blister pads, safety pins, phone chargers, extension cords, umbrellas. There are no weather events forecast inside the ballroom. There are entrances." He set it down. "This is how you prepare for war. This is how I prepare for Diane." That night was the rehearsal. Briar Glen looked different in the evening, less like a hotel and more like the version of a hotel people posted online. The old brick glowed under strings of courtyard lights. Staff members rolled round tables across the ballroom while Celia stood in the ceremony space with a clipboard, directing us into positions. Kelly was 5 minutes late because she had gone to the wrong side of the building. My father forgot whether he was supposed to sit before or after Evan's parents. Diane corrected Celia twice and was ignored with professional grace. Tessa arrived holding Evan's hand. The moment she stepped into the ceremony room, everybody's energy shifted toward her. She wore jeans and a white blouse, her hair tied up with a pencil, but she was already the bride. Even my mother stopped talking. Celia positioned me behind Kelly in the processional line. "Walk slowly," she said. "Not solemnly. This is a wedding, not a sentencing." Kelly leaned toward me. Those were my 2 speeds. Sam sat in the second row beside Linda and Frank Mercer. Linda had brought a notebook and was writing down instructions nobody had asked her to remember. Frank was showing Paul something on his phone. Our families were not opposites exactly. The Mercers simply allowed silences to remain silent. The first time I had dinner with them, I thought Linda was angry. She was eating. Evan stood at the front while Tessa practiced walking down the aisle with Paul. Halfway there, Dad whispered something to her. Tessa laughed, and Evan's face softened in a way that made me forgive him for every time he had avoided a difficult conversation. At the rehearsal dinner, he surprised me again. He stood with a glass of wine and thanked both families, Celia and the wedding party. Then he looked directly at me. "And Mara," he said, "who has apparently been operating a mid-size event company from her kitchen." People laughed. "I'm serious. She handled contracts, transportation, guests, flowers, and at least one crisis involving candle height. We could not have done this without her. Diane touched my shoulder as though the praise belonged to both of us. Tessa raised her glass. To Mara. Everyone echoed it. I smiled, but Sam's eyes found mine from across the table. He knew the sentence "we could not have done this without her" was not as purely flattering as everyone intended. After dinner, Tessa followed me into the restaurant restroom and locked the door behind us. "You cannot lock a public restroom," I said. "There's another one. That does not make this ours." She handed me a small velvet box. "What is this?" "A gift." "Why?" "Because I have been horrible. That is not traditionally a gift occasion. Open it." Inside was a pair of silver earrings, small drops with pale blue stones. "They're aquamarine," she said, "like Grandma Bennett's ring." Our grandmother had left the ring to Tessa because she was the younger daughter, and according to Diane, younger daughters needed heirlooms too. I had never objected out loud. Tessa had noticed anyway. "These are too much," I said. "They're not. They are. I did not buy you a robe that says Maid of Honor in rhinestones, so technically I saved money." I touched one of the stones with my fingertip. "Tess, I know this has been a lot. It has. I know I keep making it more." "You do." She smiled faintly. "You could pretend for 5 seconds. You didn't buy pretend earrings." Her eyes filled. I shut the box and hugged her. "I love them," I said. "Thank you. I love you. You're still doing your own returns tomorrow, I know, and I'm not steaming your veil until after breakfast. I know, and if Mom invites anyone overnight, I'm leaving the country." She laughed into my shoulder. I took away her stamps. On the drive home, Sam asked if I was happy. Yes, that sounded almost uncomplicated. It was a nice night. It was. I opened the velvet box again beneath the passing streetlights. "She sees it," I said. He kept his eyes on the road. "Sees what?" "What I've done." "I think she does." That answer satisfied me because I wanted it to. At 5:30 the next morning, Sam loaded all 4 labeled bins into my car. I wore leggings, sneakers, and a button-down shirt so I would not have to pull anything over my hair after it was styled. He handed me coffee in a travel mug. "You're coming at 4?" I asked. "The invitation says 4:30. Come at 4. Will there be chairs?" "There will be exactly 1 chair with your name on it." Comforting. "You're at table 4. Chicken." "I remember. And you're beside me. For the portions of dinner when you exist." I kissed him. He held my face for a second after I started to pull away. "Try to be there today." "I will. I mean actually there, not monitoring candle height from the ceiling. I'll attempt embodiment. Text me if you need anything. I have 4 bins." I wasn't talking to the bins. When I reached Briar Glen, Celia was in the ballroom checking table numbers. Place cards had been arranged alphabetically on a long table outside the doors, each tucked into a small brass holder. The room looked finished. White flowers, candlelight, glassware catching the early sun. For once I could not see the labor first. I saw what Tessa had imagined. Then I checked the place cards. I found Bennett, Diane, Bennett, Mara, Bennett, Paul. No Sam. I looked again under his last name, Whitaker. Nothing. Celia was speaking to the rental supervisor, so I asked one of her assistants. "We used the latest list," she said. I sent the latest list. "Sam Whitaker, table 4. She opened a folder. "He isn't here. He's confirmed. I can print another card. Is there a seat?" She ran one finger down the page. Table 4 has 10. It should have 10 including Sam. It has 10 without him. A cold pressure formed behind my ribs. "Who is in his chair?" She read the names. One belonged at table 7. "Can you show me the file you used?" "Mara." Tessa's voice came from the ballroom entrance. She wore a white satin robe, and half her hair was pinned in silver clips. Kelly stood behind her holding 2 breakfast sandwiches and a can of hairspray. "What are you doing?" Tessa asked. "Sam's missing from the seating list." Her face did something small and quick. "What?" "His place card isn't here. That has to be a venue mistake." The assistant stiffened. We use the approved revision. What revision? I asked. Tessa looked at her. Can you just fix it? The assistant glanced toward Celia. Tessa, I said. Did you change the seating list? No, too fast. Kelly stopped chewing. I didn't change it, Tessa repeated. I called about moving some people. Who? Mom's friends didn't want to be near the service door, so you moved them. Yes, but I did not remove Sam. I looked at the assistant's page. Where is he? I don't know. Why are you interrogating me before my wedding? Because my partner's chair disappeared. We'll add a chair. There are no extra chairs. Kelly quietly put the sandwiches on the place card table. Tessa looked toward the ballroom. I cannot do this right now. Did you approve a different list? I told Celia's office about a few changes. What changes? Mara, stop. Diane came around the corner wearing a floral robe and full makeup. What is going on? Sam isn't on the list, I said. She gave a little shrug. Then put him somewhere. Where? It's one chair. The same sentence. Tessa's breathing had begun to change, short and shallow. Kelly touched her elbow. We should get upstairs. I wanted to demand the revised list. I wanted Celia to stop the room and explain exactly what had happened. Instead, I looked at my sister with half her wedding hair pinned up and fear climbing into her face. Go, I said. I'll handle it. Relief moved through her so quickly it hurt to watch. I'm sorry, she said. It must be a mistake. Diane followed them toward the elevator. I took out my phone and called Sam. Bad news, I said when he answered. Your chair has entered witness protection. He was silent for half a second. Excuse me? There was a seating revision. They lost your place card. They lost my place or my card? I'm figuring that out. Was anyone else lost? I don't know yet. What do you want me to do? I closed my eyes. Come at 5:30 instead of 4. I'll have it fixed by the reception. You don't want me at the ceremony? I want you here. I just don't want you standing in a hallway while I solve this. I could help. I know. Another pause. Mara. Did Tessa remove me? No. It was my turn to answer too quickly. He heard it. I'll come at 5:30, he said. The morning accelerated. Hair, makeup, photographs, missing cufflinks, a torn hem, a boutonniere Paul tried to attach with the pin pointing directly at his chest. I moved through each problem while the question about Sam stayed in the center of me. Tessa became softer as the ceremony approached. When I fastened her dress, her hands shook. You okay? I asked. What if I trip? You won't. What if I cry so hard I look ugly? You won't. What if Evan sees me and realizes this entire thing was too much? I turned her toward me. He loves you. The wedding is too much. You are not. She searched my face. Are you mad at me? Yes. Her chin trembled. And I'm still here, I said. She nodded. Just before we entered the ceremony room, she reached for my hand. The ceremony was beautiful. That was the inconvenient truth. Tessa did not trip. Evan cried first. Paul delivered her to the front, then kissed her forehead so tenderly that I had to look down. When Tessa said her vows, her voice steadied on the words, "Choose you." For 25 minutes, nothing was wrong. Then cocktail hour began, and Linda Mercer approached me with Sonia and Gabe beside her. They can't find their place cards, Linda said. They should be at table 9. They're not on the chart. One of Evan's college friends appeared behind them. Mine's missing too. Then another couple. Then Evan's aunt holding a card printed with one of Diane's friends' names. I went to the place card table. 19 confirmed guests were not seated anywhere. Through the ballroom doors, I could see my mother's 16 additions taking their chairs near the windows. Tessa came toward me, still smiling from photographs, until she saw the crowd. What happened? She asked. Celia arrived with her binder. Tessa looked at the displaced guests, then at Evan, who had begun reading names over Linda's shoulder. Her face crumpled. You had one job, she said to me. And when Celia asked who had changed the list, my sister stopped crying. Nobody answered Celia. The cocktail hour music continued in the next room, light piano beneath the sound of people trying not to stare. Evan took the binder from Linda and began comparing the missing names to the seating chart. "Tessa," he said. She looked at Celia. "I called about moving people. I told you that." "You called yesterday morning," Celia said. "You said there had been cancellations. I said there might be cancellations." "No." Celia did not raise her voice. That made every word feel louder. "You gave my assistant 19 names," she continued. "She asked whether those guests had confirmed they were no longer attending. You said yes. We requested the change in writing and you emailed it." Evan's head came up. 19. I didn't mean all of them. How do you accidentally cancel 19 people? I did not cancel anyone. Linda looked at Sonia and Gabe beside her, then at her son. "We are standing right here." "I know," Tessa said, and the panic in her voice turned the sentence into a plea. Diane stepped forward. "This is obviously a misunderstanding." Celia's attention moved to her. The revision came from Tessa, because Mara had made the original list too rigid. I laughed. I could not help it. My father said, "Let's lower the temperature." "What did you think would happen?" Evan asked Tessa. "I thought some of them weren't coming. They are SVPD. Your mom said Sonia and Gabe might not make the drive." Linda's face changed. I said they were worried about traffic. That sounded uncertain. "We came yesterday," Sonia said. Diane reached for Tessa's arm. She was trying to make the room work. "Everyone has been pressuring her. I was trying to move your friends away from the service door," Tessa said. Diane pulled her hand back. There it was, not one decision, but a chain of them. Diane had hated the table near the service entrance. She had gone through the chart with Tessa and identified guests she considered flexible, distant, or unlikely to complain. Evan's college friends, his cousins, one of Paul's former co-workers, Sam, adults who had traveled, bought clothes, sent gifts, and confirmed they were coming. Tessa had told Celia those people had canceled so Diane's friends could be distributed among better tables. She had meant, she said, to work the rest out after the room was rearranged. "You told them I changed the list," I said. Her eyes snapped to mine. I panicked. "You looked directly at me and said I ruined your wedding. I didn't know what happened. You knew you sent another list. I didn't know everyone would show up. They said they would." Diane moved between us again. "Mara," she has explained. "This is not the time to punish her." Behind my mother, Evan was staring at his wife as if the ceremony had ended with a stranger beneath the veil. Celia checked her watch. "We have 23 minutes before ballroom doors. We can discuss responsibility later. Right now, we need a decision." "How many seats can you add?" I asked. "None in the ballroom." "What about the patio?" "The covered section can take 2 rounds, but it needs staff, linens, place settings, and heaters. Catering prepared a small overage, not 19 meals. Can they make 19? They can, but there will be delays and substitutions. Do it." Celia hesitated. "There will be an additional charge. Put it on my card." "No," Evan said. "Yes, Tessa and I will pay. Then reimburse me. We do not have time to move money around." Diane said, "Why should there be a charge?" This was their administrative error, too. Celia's face became entirely still. "Mom," I said, "stop talking." For once she did. The venue manager brought a portable card reader. The amount was $2,460. My hand shook once as I entered the PIN, not from the money exactly, but from the familiarity of what I was doing. Everyone else had created a problem. I was paying so nobody would have to watch it remain a problem. Celia handed me the receipt. "We need 10 guests willing to sit on the patio," she said. "The remaining 9 can be distributed inside if we move 2 tables and reduce clearance near the windows. I'll sit outside." "Mara," Tessa said. I did not look at her. "Sam will sit with me," I continued. "Put Sonia and Gabe at table 4. Move Paul's former co-worker and his wife to our seats. Evan's aunt stays inside with Linda." That gives us 4 patio seats, Celia said. Kelly and her date will move. Kelly blinked. We will? Yes. She looked toward Tessa, then back at me. Yeah, she said. We will. One of Evan's college friends heard us and volunteered to take the patio with his partner. Another couple followed. People who had been discarded were now making the wedding easier for the person who discarded them. That felt familiar, too. We had 11 minutes when Sam came through the outer doors. He was early. His tie was still loose, and he had my portable phone charger in one hand. He took in the crowd, the venue staff rolling tables toward the patio, and my face. How many people? He asked. 19. He did not ask whether Tessa had removed him. He put the charger in my hand, took off his jacket, and went to help move chairs. The ballroom opened, 17 minutes late. Guests were still locating new seats as Tessa and Evan waited in the hallway for their entrance. The band leader came to ask whether they should shorten the introduction. Tessa's makeup had been repaired, but her eyes were swollen. "This is a disaster," she said. "It's not," Diane told her. "The room is beautiful. People know. They know there was a mix-up. They know I did it." Diane glanced at me. "They know something happened with the list." I was kneeling beside the welcome table, rewriting place cards. "Don't," Tessa said. I kept writing. "Don't stand there acting like you didn't contribute to this." Sam, returning with a stack of unused brass holders, stopped beside me. "What exactly did she contribute?" he asked. Tessa looked at him and then away. "Not now," I said. "No, I'd like to hear it." Diane answered for her. "This is a family conversation." Sam set the holders on the table. "I had a chair until your family removed it. You have a chair now." I moved it there myself. Evan came out of the ballroom. "The band is waiting," he said. His voice was flat. Tessa turned toward him. "Are you mad at me?" "Yes." Her face crumpled again. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, some of the hardness had gone. "We'll talk later. Right now we go inside, have dinner, cut the cake, and thank people for coming." "Together?" He held out his hand. After a second, she took it. They entered to applause. That was Tessa's gift. She could walk into a room carrying a private catastrophe and still make people want to celebrate her. By the time she and Evan reached the dance floor, she was smiling through tears, and the tears looked romantic. I stood outside the ballroom with Sam. "You should put your jacket back on," I said. "That's what you have. Your shirt is wrinkled. I moved furniture. I noticed. You told me she didn't remove me." "I didn't know. You knew enough." "I knew she made changes. I didn't know what they were. You called me and told me to skip your sister's wedding ceremony because you didn't want me standing in a hallway. I was trying to protect you. From seeing this..." He gestured toward the ballroom. I looked through the open doors. Tessa and Evan were dancing. Diane stood near the edge of the floor, one hand pressed to her chest. "I had to keep things moving," I said. "Why?" "Because there were 19 people with nowhere to sit. Why was that yours to fix? Should I have left them standing there?" "No. Tessa should have handled it. She was in her wedding dress." Sam stared at me. I heard it after I said it. "What does the dress change?" he asked. "I don't know. It changes how good the pictures look while you clean up after her." I flinched. His anger softened immediately, which almost made it worse. "I'm sorry," he said. "No, you're right. I didn't say it well. You said it exactly." Celia approached before either of us could continue. "They're serving the patio first. We found 19 meals, though 3 will be vegetarian." "Sam likes vegetarian," I said. Sam looked at me. "Do I?" "You do tonight." Celia gave me a careful look. "You're supposed to be announced before the toast." I had forgotten. Kelly and the rest of the wedding party were already inside. I straightened Sam's tie, kissed his cheek, and went to take my place near the head table. Dinner happened. That was the strange part. People ate. The band played soft standards. Paul gave a toast about Tessa trying to run away from home at 26 because Diane criticized the way she loaded the dishwasher. Everyone laughed, including Diane. Linda's toast was brief and warm. She welcomed Tessa into the family without mentioning the 19 people Tessa had temporarily removed from it. Then the band leader handed me the microphone. I looked at the folded pages beside my plate. For weeks, I had worked on a speech about sisterhood, about knowing someone's worst habits and oldest fears, about Tessa showing up at midnight with powdered donuts when my heart was broken, about love, meaning that someone knew exactly how difficult you could be and stayed anyway. Tessa watched me from the center of the head table. Diane smiled encouragingly. I folded the pages once, then set them beside Tessa's bouquet. "I think the bride's father said it beautifully," I told the room. "Let's raise a glass to Tessa and Evan." It lasted 12 seconds. People toasted. The band resumed. I sat down. Tessa leaned toward me. "That's it?" "Yes, you wrote a speech. I changed the plan." Her eyes hardened. "To embarrass me? Not everything is about embarrassing you. It's my wedding. Today, it actually is about me." Evan touched her wrist. "Leave it." She pulled her hand away. I did not eat. Sam sat with me on the patio while the heaters clicked overhead and dinner plates cooled around us. Kelly tried to tell a funny story about the balloon arch, but even she stopped halfway through. Inside, Tessa cut the cake. She and Evan danced with our parents. Guests took photographs against the brick wall and carried slices of lemon cake onto the patio. The wedding became pleasant around the damage, the way families often do. I stayed until the last displaced guest was fed. Then I packed the emergency bin, left the speech beside Tessa's bouquet, and told Celia I was going home. Diane caught me near the elevator. "You cannot leave before the send-off. Watch me. Tessa is upset. So am I. She made a mistake. She lied. She panicked. She blamed me." My father appeared behind her, holding 2 wrapped pieces of cake. "Mara, let's deal with this tomorrow." "I'm not dealing with anything tomorrow." Diane looked at Sam, who was carrying the bins. "Are you encouraging this?" He shifted the weight in his arms. "I'm driving her home. That is not what I asked. It's the answer you're getting." The elevator doors opened. My mother's face crumpled in a way that looked enough like Tessa's to make me hesitate. Then she said, "After everything we've done for you." Sam stepped into the elevator. I followed him. As the doors closed, my phone began vibrating in my purse. I did not take it out. In the parking lot, Sam loaded the bins into my car exactly as he had that morning. Ceremony, reception, emergency, personal. This time, when he reached for the driver's door, I handed him the keys. Neither of us spoke until Briar Glen disappeared behind the trees. Then Sam said, "You still saved it." I looked down at the aquamarine earrings Tessa had given me. "I know." He drove the rest of the way home with both hands tight on the wheel. At home, Sam carried the bins into the spare room while I stood in the kitchen with my purse still over my shoulder. My phone had 27 notifications. 8 were from Diane. 4 were from Paul. Kelly had sent, followed by a photograph of my folded speech beside Tessa's bouquet. Tessa's messages came in a different rhythm. "Where are you? Mom said you left. You seriously left? We haven't done the send-off. Mara, answer me." The final message had arrived 12 minutes earlier. "I cannot believe you would punish me like this today." I put the phone face down. Sam returned without his jacket. His white shirt was creased and slightly gray at one shoulder, where a folding table had rubbed against it. "Do you want water?" I asked. "I can get water." "I know. I'm offering." "No, thanks." He walked past me, took a glass from the cabinet, and filled it. I removed one aquamarine earring. My fingers could not manage the back of the other. "Can you help me?" He set down the glass and stood behind me. His fingertips touched my neck, warm and careful. The earring came loose. I placed both in the velvet box. "Are you going to return them?" he asked. "I don't know." "Okay. Stop saying everything like that." "Like what?" "Calm." He looked at me in the dark reflection of the kitchen window. "You want me to yell?" "No." "Good, because I'm too tired." I took off my shoes and lined them beneath the island, though they did not belong there. I'm sorry she removed you. You didn't remove me. I told you to come late. Yes, I should have asked more questions. Yes. Each agreement struck harder than an accusation. I was trying to keep you from being embarrassed. You were trying to keep the problem quiet. That's not fair. It can be unfair and true. I turned toward him. What did you want me to do this morning? Drag Tessa out of hair and makeup and force her to rebuild a seating chart? I wanted you not to call me and tell me to miss the ceremony because my absence was easier for everybody. I said I wanted you there. You said it while asking me not to be there. She was getting married. And I'm what? The question stopped me. Sam was not a man who demanded declarations. He did not ask where our relationship was going at strategic dinners or leave apartment listings open on his laptop. He had moved into my house gradually, one set of books and one good knife at a time, until there was no drawer that did not contain evidence of him. You're my family, I said. Then why did her comfort outrank my place? It wasn't about rank. It is always about rank with them. I hated how much that sounded like something I would say about Diane. He picked up his water. I'm going to shower, Sam. He stopped. I am sorry. His shoulders lowered a fraction. I know you are. That doesn't sound like you accept it. I haven't yet. He went upstairs. I stood alone in the kitchen and opened the velvet box again. The earrings looked pale under the overhead light, almost colorless. My phone vibrated. Evan. I answered. For several seconds, all I heard was music and muffled voices. Hi, he said finally. Hi, I'm outside. Outside where? The reception. By the loading dock, of course. We had spent months arranging candles and table assignments so the groom could spend his wedding night beside a dumpster. Are you okay? I asked. No. I sat at the island. Is Tessa? She's dancing with Paul. That sounds okay. She thinks you hate her. I'm not discussing what I feel while she's still wearing the dress. That might be wise. Neither of us spoke. Then he said, I'm sorry about the money. I sent the receipt to myself. I'll forward it tomorrow. I'll pay you. Thank you. And the list. I'm sorry she blamed you. Why are you apologizing? I don't know. Everyone is apologizing to everyone except the person they owe one to. That was more anger than I had ever heard from him. Go back inside, I said. I don't know what to say to her. You don't have to solve your marriage tonight. It's our first night of marriage. It feels like poor timing. Despite myself, I laughed. He did too, once. Then his voice broke. She lied to my face. I know. If the planner hadn't said anything, she did. But if she hadn't? I looked at Tessa's messages. I would have paid for the patio, given the toast, and spent the next 10 years wondering if I had attached the wrong file. Evan swore softly. Go back to your wife, I said. Be angry tomorrow. What are you going to do? I'm going to bed. That was a lie. I sat at the kitchen island until the house became completely quiet. Sam slept in our bed, but he turned away when I climbed in. The distance between our backs was less than a foot. It felt measured. At 8 the next morning, Diane called. I let it ring. She called again. Then Paul. Then Diane. At 8:12, my mother left a voicemail. Mara, the family brunch begins at 9:30. Whatever happened yesterday, people are asking where you are. You need to come and show everyone there are no hard feelings. Tessa is devastated. Please don't make us chase you. Us, as if I had hidden in the woods. Sam came downstairs wearing sweatpants and started making coffee. Are you going? He asked. No. Did you pause? I paused during all 4 calls. Advanced work. He handed me a mug. I played the voicemail for him. He listened without reacting. She doesn't ask if you're okay, he said. She knows I'm okay. How? Because I always am. He leaned against the counter. That's not an answer. My phone rang again. This time it was Tessa. I answered. Are you coming? She asked. No, hello. Her voice sounded scraped raw. No, everyone's here. Then you have plenty of people. Mara, please. Why? So we can talk. We can talk privately. If you don't come, it looks like you're trying to make a statement. I am making a statement. The statement is, I'm not coming. She exhaled sharply. You left without saying goodbye to me. You accused me of ruining your wedding in front of 19 people you removed from your own seating chart. I panicked. You keep saying that like Panic typed an email. I was going to fix it. When? After Mom's tables were settled. You told Celia those people canceled. Her assistant kept asking questions, and I needed her to make the changes. That is not an explanation that helps you. I know. In the background, I heard dishes and voices. Someone laughed. Tessa lowered her voice. I didn't mean to take Sam off. That might be worse. How? You were willing to remove other people. He was just an accident? No. Mom said you'd be working and he wouldn't care where he sat. I thought we could fit him somewhere later. He didn't have somewhere. That was the entire problem. I know that now. You knew the room held 140. You don't have to talk to me like I'm stupid. There it was again. I set my coffee down. You lied about confirmed guests, blamed me when they appeared, let me pay $2,400 to fix it, and then accused me of embarrassing you because I didn't give a speech. Which part should I phrase more gently? She began to cry. Sam looked toward the ceiling. I'm sorry, Tessa whispered. I waited. But you didn't have to leave. The word but seemed to erase everything before it. I'm going to hang up now. We're leaving for the airport at 2. Have a safe trip. You won't even see me? No, you always forgive me. She said it with genuine confusion, not entitlement. That hurt more. Not this morning, I said. I ended the call. Sam took my coffee and reheated it in the microwave because it had gone cold. I almost feel sorry for her, I said. I do feel sorry for her. I looked at him. She's going on her honeymoon with a man who just learned she'll lie to him when she's scared, he said. That sounds miserable. It was not the answer I expected. You can feel sorry for someone without rescuing them, he added. I hate when you're balanced. I'm less balanced than I appear. How angry are you? At her? At me? He watched the microwave count down. I don't know yet. That's ominous. It's honest. The microwave beeped. He handed me the mug. I need you to understand something, he said. Your sister didn't only volunteer your patience, she volunteered mine. Your mother does it too. They assume I'll move chairs, miss ceremonies, eat whatever is left, and tell you it's fine because loving you means making your family easier. My throat tightened. I've done that to you. Yes, I didn't mean to. I know. I'm sorry. He nodded, but he did not tell me it was fine. At 9:40, a photograph appeared in the family group chat. Tessa and Evan sat at the center of a long brunch table. She was wearing white again. Evan had one arm around the back of her chair, but his hand did not touch her. Diane captioned it, "Beautiful morning after a beautiful wedding. Family is everything." Kelly reacted with a heart. 3 relatives did the same. Then Sonia, Evan's cousin, wrote, "Thank you again to Mara and Sam for making sure everyone had a place last night." The chat went silent. Diane deleted the photograph and reposted it without the caption. At 10:15, Paul called. I answered because I still had not learned enough. "Your mother's upset," he said. "Good morning, Dad. Good morning." She feels Sonia's message was pointed. I don't control Sonia. No one said you did. Then why are you calling me? We need the emergency bins returned to the hotel. There are rental items mixed in. They're at my house. Could you drop them off? No. A pause. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not driving back to Briar Glen. They need them by noon. Then someone should come get them. Your mother has guests at the house. Tessa and Evan are there. They're leaving for their honeymoon. You're there. I had a mimosa. Then wait and drive later. Mara, this is unnecessary. No, it's inconvenient. Those are different. He lowered his voice. Are you trying to punish us? I'm sitting in my own kitchen drinking coffee. The hotel needs its things. Then solve it. I gave him the code to our front door and told him which bin contained the brass holders and extra linens. He arrived 40 minutes later. I watched through the window as he carried the reception bin to his car, stopped to adjust his grip, and looked toward the house as if expecting me to come out. I did not. It was the first family problem I had ever allowed to remain heavy in someone else's hands. Paul stood beside the open car door for almost a minute. Then he put the bin in the back seat and drove away. I felt terrible. That was the part nobody warned me about boundaries. They sounded clean when Sam described them. Say no. Pause. Let other adults carry their own problems. In practice, saying no made my father look older through a kitchen window. I reached for my phone. Sam covered it with his hand. "You already told him what he needed," he said. "He has to carry that thing into the hotel. He carried you on his shoulders at a parade once. I've seen the photograph. He can lift a plastic bin. He has a cardiologist. He had a routine follow-up and was told he was fine. You don't know that. I know because you asked him 6 times. I pulled my hand away from the phone. This feels mean. It feels unfamiliar. What if those are the same thing? They're not." He said it with enough certainty that I borrowed some. At 11:30, Paul texted, "Delivered." I responded with a thumbs up. He did not answer. By Monday, my family had organized the wedding into a story that could be repeated comfortably. There had been confusion over a last-minute seating revision. The venue had overreacted. Tessa had been overwhelmed. I had become upset and left early. Nobody said I had changed the list anymore, but nobody said Tessa had either. My aunt called while I was eating lunch at my desk. "I heard there was a little mix-up," she said. "There were 19 missing seats. That's more than little." "Yes." "Your mother said the hotel used an old file. The hotel used the file Tessa sent them." Silence. "Oh," my aunt said. It was not disbelief. It was recalculation. She didn't mention that. I'm sure she didn't. Well, weddings are stressful. I looked at the sandwich in my hand. I had stopped tasting it. "They are. Your sister looked beautiful." "She did. And you'll work it out. You always do." There it was, offered as comfort. I ended the call and sent the venue receipt to Evan and Tessa. No accusation, no explanation, just the amount and a note that my credit card payment was due in 23 days. Evan replied from the airport during a layover. "I'll handle it as soon as we're home." "I'm sorry." Tessa did not reply. Diane did. I don't think it's fair to demand this while they're on their honeymoon. I had not sent it to her. Before I could ask how she knew, another message arrived. There were mistakes on all sides. You authorized those charges without consulting anyone. I typed 3 responses and deleted them. Then I forwarded both messages to Sam. He replied, "Pause." I closed my email. That evening, Diane came to my house carrying a cardboard bakery box and 2 foil-wrapped containers. I saw her through the glass before she rang the bell. She was wearing sunglasses even though the sun had set. "I brought food," she said when I opened the door. "We have food. Not wedding food." That is true. She walked past me and placed everything on the kitchen island. Lemon cake, roasted vegetables, and enough sliced beef to feed 6 people. "Your father says, thank you for helping with the bins." I didn't help. "You told him which one." That's a low standard. She removed her sunglasses. Her eyes were swollen. The sight still worked on me. My body moved toward concern before my mind could object. "Have you been crying?" "I haven't slept." "Why?" She stared at me. "Why do you think?" I almost apologized. The word rose all the way into my throat, familiar and ready. I swallowed it. Diane opened the refrigerator and began moving our food to make space for hers. "Mom, leave it on the counter. It'll spoil. Then take it home." She turned. "I came here to fix this." "With cake? It's your favorite. It's Tessa's wedding cake. You both chose lemon. I chose it because Tessa called me from the tasting and made me compare fillings over video. That sounds like something you enjoyed." I did. My mother's face softened. "Then can we stop?" "Stop what? This?" "The coldness. Your father is walking around like someone died." Tessa cried all the way to the airport. Evan barely spoke at brunch. Sam was rude to me in the hallway. Sam was removed from the wedding. He attended the reception. He was supposed to attend the ceremony. You told him to come later because he had no chair, because I was easier to persuade than Tessa was to confront. Diane did not need to say any of it. She could hand me the last step in a chain and let me blame myself for holding it. I made the wrong call, I said. I apologized to him. Good. Then you understand everyone made mistakes. No. Her shoulders drew back. Tessa changed the list, I said. She lied about it. She blamed me in front of the family. You defended her after you knew what she did. I was trying to get her through the day. And who was trying to get me through it? I am here, aren't I? With leftovers. I came to make peace. You came to make me stop being angry. What is the difference? Peace requires you to admit what happened. I have admitted she made a mistake. She made 19 choices. Oh, for heaven's sake. Diane walked to the window, then turned back as though she had found a stronger angle. She was under pressure because you kept telling her everything was impossible. She felt judged every time she asked you a question. Then she could have stopped asking me to do everything. She trusted you. She used me. My mother flinched. The sentence was uglier out loud than it had been in my head. She loves you, Diane said. Both can be true. That sounds like Sam. It sounds like me. He has never liked how close this family is. I laughed. We're so close we erase people from seating charts. This is what I mean. You twist everything into a criticism. No, I make it specific. You hate that. Her mouth tightened. The reception was saved, she said. Everyone ate. Tessa apologized. You're choosing to keep this going. Tessa said sorry and then told me I shouldn't have left, because you shouldn't have. I looked at my mother and understood that she genuinely believed it. The betrayal was not that Diane cared only about Tessa. She cared about me too. She had brought my favorite cake. She had lost sleep. She wanted me back. She just wanted me back in position. If I had done this to Tessa, I said, would you be here asking her to stop? That's hypothetical. Would you? You would never do something like this. Why? Because you know better. The answer came without hesitation. I nodded. What does that mean? She asked. It means you know I'm not treated the same. I did not say that. You said I know better, so more is expected of me. Tessa panics, so less is expected of her. Then when she hurts me, I'm supposed to understand because I'm the one who knows better. You're taking my words out of context. There is no context that improves them. She picked up her sunglasses. Your father offered to pay half the patio charge. Why half? Because you made the decision without consulting us. There were 19 people standing outside the ballroom. You could have waited. For what? For everyone to calm down. The caterer needed an answer. You always do this. You take over, then resent everyone because you took over. That one landed. My mother saw it. Her expression changed, almost triumphant and immediately ashamed. I'm not saying it's all your fault, she added. Just half. That's not what I meant. Tell Dad not to send anything. Mara. Evan said he'll pay. They're newly married. They shouldn't come home to a bill like that. I came home to it. Diane's eyes filled again. You don't need the money as much as they do. There was no fortune behind that statement. Sam and I paid our bills, saved carefully, and discussed large purchases before making them. Tessa and Evan had spent most of their wedding budget. In my family, not being in crisis was treated like excess capacity. That doesn't make it mine, I said. It's family money. It was my credit card. She picked up the food containers and stacked them. You've become very hard. No, I've become expensive. She looked at me as if I had spoken another language. I'm not free anymore, I said. Diane left the cake. After she drove away, I stood at the island and ate one bite directly from the box. It was still my favorite. I cried so hard I had to sit on the kitchen floor. Sam found me there when he came home. He did not ask why the cake was on the counter or why there were 2 forks, even though I had used only one. He sat beside me, loosened his tie, and waited. She said, "I take over and resent everyone because I took over," I said. "Sometimes you do." I looked at him. He winced. Bad timing. "No. Tell me. I don't think you create their problems. But you step in so fast that nobody has to ask twice. Then you're furious they expected you. They do expect me. Yes. So it's my fault? No. It's your part." I wiped my face with the heel of my hand. I don't know how to stop. You stopped your dad yesterday and cried about a plastic bin. You still stopped. He took my hand. "I'm sorry I volunteered your patience," I said. He ran his thumb across my knuckles. "I'm sorry I waited until a wedding to tell you how much it hurt. I should have noticed. I worked pretty hard to seem fine." That sounded like us both. We sat on the floor until the tile became uncomfortable, then ate lemon cake for dinner. 2 days later, Paul transferred $1,230 to my account. The description read, "Our share." "Let's move forward." I sent it back. He called immediately. "Why did you return the money?" "Because it isn't your share." "I'm trying to help. You're trying to split blame." "It's money, Mara." "Then send the full amount." He was quiet. "I can't do that without upsetting your mother." There were entire generations of my family inside that sentence. "You could," I said. "You don't want to. That's not fair." "No, it's specific." He sighed. "Tessa has always needed more support." "I know. You were always so independent. I wasn't born independent. I learned not to ask. That isn't how I remember it. Of course it isn't." He ended the call after telling me he loved me. I told him I loved him too. Both things were true. Neither fixed the other. Tessa sent her first personal message from the honeymoon that night. It was a photograph of the ocean at sunset, orange light across flat water. "I wish you were talking to me." I stared at it for a long time. Then another message appeared. "Mom says you're making Dad pay the whole bill." I put the phone down without answering. The next morning, I removed myself as the primary contact from the shared family calendar. I changed Paul's cardiology reminders to send directly to him. I forwarded Diane the florist's final invoice. I moved every wedding folder from my desktop into one archive labeled Tessa, complete. Then I took the spare keys to my parents' house off my key ring. They left a clean, bright space between my own house key and the little silver bottle opener Sam had given me. I placed them in an envelope. For the first time, I did not feel relieved. I felt like I was preparing to return something I had once mistaken for belonging. I drove the envelope to my parents' house after work. Diane's car was in the driveway. Paul's was not. I sat at the curb with the engine running, looking at the kitchen windows. If I rang the bell, my mother would invite me in. She would make tea without asking, put food on a plate, and behave gently until I became gentle back. Then the envelope would remain in my purse. By the time I left, I would somehow be responsible for ordering flowers for their anniversary. I placed the envelope in the mailbox. No note. The keys were self-explanatory. Diane called before I reached the end of the street. "Did you just put something in our mailbox?" "Yes." "What?" "The spare keys." Silence. "Why?" "I don't need them. What if there's an emergency? You and Dad have keys. What if we're not home? Then it's probably not your emergency." "Mara, I'm driving. Pull over." "No." She inhaled through her nose. "Is this supposed to frighten me?" "No, because it feels like a threat. It's 2 keys. It's what they mean. They mean I'm not the automatic person for the house anymore. You have always had keys." "I know. Since college." "I know." "What am I supposed to tell your father? That I returned them?" She lowered her voice. "He already thinks you're cutting us off." "I answered his call yesterday. You were cruel to him. I told him he didn't want to upset you. That is none of your business. It became my business when he used it as the reason not to repay me. I told you we don't owe the whole amount. Then we disagree. You cannot reduce family to a transaction. You reduced 19 people to available chairs. The silence after that was different. Not wounded, angry. "Your sister is coming home tomorrow," she said. "I expect you to speak to her. Good night, Mom. I am not finished. I am." I ended the call and drove home with both hands shaking. Sam was cooking when I arrived. He had changed out of his work clothes and was standing at the stove in an old Baltimore Orioles t-shirt, stirring something that smelled like garlic. "I returned the keys," I said. He looked over his shoulder. "How do you feel?" "Like I kicked a puppy." "Did the puppy call and criticize you?" "Immediately." "Then it may have been an adult dog." I set my purse on the counter. "She said Dad thinks I'm cutting them off." "Are you?" "No." "Then that's not what you're doing. What if it becomes that?" He turned down the burner. "Do you want it to?" "No." "Then decide each invitation as it comes." That sounds exhausting. It may be less exhausting than saying yes to all of them. I leaned against him and smelled garlic on his shirt. I didn't know returning keys could feel this dramatic. Keys are dramatic. People hand them over in romantic comedies. You did not hand me a key. I left one in the bowl and began receiving mail. You seduced me through administrative creep. It worked. It had. The next afternoon, Evan transferred the full $2,460. No note, no qualification. I texted him to confirm I received it. He called. "We got home an hour ago," he said. "You didn't have to do that immediately." "Yes, I did. In the background, I heard luggage wheels and a door closing." "Are you okay?" I asked. "I'm married." That was the intended result. It's currently my whole answer. I sat in my parked car outside my office. "You don't owe me details. Tessa says you won't speak to her. Tessa has not called me since the message about Dad. She said she was giving you space. That sounds nicer." He exhaled. "I don't want to put you in the middle," he said. "Then don't." That was direct. I'm trying something new. I think she expected the wedding to be waiting for her when we got back, like a package she could deal with after the trip. That also sounds like Tessa. She spent half the honeymoon crying. I'm sorry. I'm angry at her, and I'm still sorry too. Both can be true. I'm beginning to dislike that phrase. It gets heavy use in my family. He laughed without much humor. "Thank you for paying me," I said. "Now please work this out with your wife and stop calling her sister." "That's fair." He ended the call. Tessa arrived at my house 40 minutes later. She was still wearing the linen pants from the flight. Her hair was pulled into a knot, and her face was tan, except for the pale outline where sunglasses had rested. Sam had not come home yet. "You told Evan to stop calling you," she said when I opened the door. "I told him not to put me in the middle." "Of our marriage?" "Yes." "He called to pay you." Then the conversation continued. She stepped inside without waiting to be invited. It was a habit she had earned years earlier, when my house felt partly hers. Her eyes went to the kitchen island. The velvet earring box was still there. "You took them off. It was midnight. You didn't wear them at the reception." "I did, not when I saw you outside. I'd already packed them." She touched the box but did not open it. "I thought you were going to send them back." "So did I. Are you?" "I don't know." She moved away from the island. For all the speeches I had composed in my head, I had not prepared for how ordinary she looked. There was a faint coffee stain on her blouse. One sandal strap had twisted. She was my sister, home from a trip, standing in my kitchen. "How was Hawaii?" I asked. Her eyes filled. "Beautiful." "I'm glad." "No, you're not." "I am." "How can you be?" "Because I love you." She covered her mouth. I waited while she cried. I did not hug her. That was harder than returning the keys. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry." "For what?" Her hands dropped. "Do you need a list?" "Yes." She flinched. I kept my voice steady. "I need to know what you're apologizing for. For changing the seating, for telling Celia people canceled, for blaming you when I panicked, for Sam, for the money, and telling everyone I ruined the wedding. I never told everyone that. You said it in front of both families. I said it in the hallway, with the doors open. Fine. For that too. The apology sounded complete. It did not feel complete. Did you correct it? I asked. What? With everyone who heard you. Celia explained it. Celia asked a question. Mom has spent 2 weeks telling people the venue used the wrong file. I can't control Mom. No, but you can tell the truth. I have. To me. And Evan. He already knew. Tessa looked toward the windows. What do you want? A group email? I want you to correct the story when someone repeats it. So you want me to keep humiliating myself. You humiliated me. I know. Do you? Yes. Her voice cracked against the kitchen walls. I know what I did, she said. I have thought about nothing else. Evan barely touched me for 4 days. Mom cried every time she called. I couldn't look at the wedding pictures because all I could think about was you leaving. Those are consequences for you. What does that mean? You're describing how bad your actions made you feel. How else am I supposed to describe it? You could start with what they did to me. She crossed her arms tightly. You're enjoying this. No. You've wanted me to admit I'm selfish my entire life. I have wanted you to notice when I'm hurt. You think I don't notice? Then why do you keep asking me to make it easier? Her face changed. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, Do you know what it's like to be the person everyone thinks needs you? That sentence doesn't make sense. It does to me. Mom calls you competent and me sensitive. Dad asks you to handle things and asks me if I'm okay. You get to be the one everyone respects. I get to work. You get trusted. I get used. And I get treated like I'm gonna break. The anger left her voice. She sat at the island. When Mom asked you to take Dad to the cardiologist, she told me I shouldn't because I had enough going on. You did. It was a cake tasting. I said the same thing. But you still did it. I didn't. You agreed first. The point irritated me because it was accurate. Tessa rubbed at the coffee stain on her blouse with one thumb. I know Mom protects me, she said. I know it's not fair, but you act like it feels good to have everyone assume you can't cope. I don't think it feels good. You think I made you the responsible one. No, but you benefit from it. So do you. I laughed once. How? You get to be angry at all of us and still be the best person in the room. Her words found the same bruise Diane had found. I leaned back against the counter. You're right about one thing, I said. I step in. I take over. I make it possible for all of you to avoid fixing things. I'm trying to stop. Tessa looked at me. Is that why you gave Mom the keys? Yes, she cried. I know. You keep saying that because her crying doesn't change the answer. Tessa wiped her face. What happens to us? She asked. I don't know. You always know. No. I usually decide for everyone and call it knowing. That almost made her smile. Almost. I want my sister back, she said. I'm right here. Not like this. This is the version available. She stood. Her eyes returned to the velvet box. Keep the earrings. I wasn't asking permission. The words were sharper than necessary. She nodded as if I had confirmed something. At the door, she turned. For what it's worth, I didn't remove Sam because I don't think he's family. Then why? I thought he'd forgive us. Us. Not me, not her. All of them. And would he? She asked. That isn't your decision. She left. Our first invitation after the wedding came 3 weeks later. Diane called on a Thursday evening and asked whether Sam and I were free for Sunday dinner. Her tone was formal enough that I checked the number to make sure it was her. What's the occasion? I asked. Do I need one to invite my daughter? No. Then why did you ask? Because we haven't had Sunday dinner since the wedding. That sounds like an occasion. She sighed. Tessa and Evan are coming. I looked at Sam across the couch. He lifted one shoulder. We'll come, I said. Good. 6 o'clock. I'm making pot roast. We arrived at 6:03. Paul opened the door and said, Your mother thought you weren't coming. We're 3 minutes late. I know. That's progress. Dinner was polite. Tessa asked Sam about a bridge project. Evan complimented the pot roast twice. Diane passed dishes as though sudden movements might reactivate the wedding. After dessert, Paul cleared his throat. Our anniversary is next month. Diane looked at me. There it was. We thought dinner at the Hawthorne Room, she said. Nothing huge, maybe 25 people. That sounds nice. I saved their event information. She reached toward a folder on the sideboard. I did not move. You always know how to organize these things, she said. I'll be happy to attend. Her hand stopped. You won't help? I just did a wedding. That was for Tessa. Yes. This would be for us. I'll come as your daughter. I'm not planning it. The silence was immediate and total. Then Tessa, without looking at me, reached for the folder. I'll do it, she said. My mother's face lit with relief. Across the table, Evan closed his eyes. Tessa did not seem to notice Evan's expression. I can call tomorrow, she said, opening the folder. 25 people, right? Approximately, Diane said. 25 is not approximate, I said. My mother gave me a look. Tessa glanced at the event sheet. This says the private room seats 30. Good, Diane said. Then we have flexibility. Evan opened his eyes and looked at me. I took a bite of cake. On the drive home, Sam waited until we were 2 blocks away. You enjoyed that? I did not. You smiled when she opened the folder. I had cake in my mouth. You looked like a shark with cake in its mouth. I turned toward the window so he would not see me smile again. Should I have warned her? You did warn her. For her entire life, apparently. That won't count. No, he said. But it may be educational. Tessa called me the next morning at 8:10. The Hawthorne Room has a food and beverage minimum. Yes. You knew that? Most private rooms do. Why didn't you say anything? Because I'm attending. She went silent. I could hear paper moving. Right, she said. Okay. Do you want the contact information for the bakery Mom likes? No. I can find a bakery. Good. Another silence. What kind of cake does Dad like? Chocolate. He likes carrot. He tolerates carrot because Mom likes it. Are you sure? I've known him longer. You're only 5 years older. That remains longer. She sighed. Fine. Chocolate. At lunch, she texted, Mom says lemon. I responded, of course she does. The anniversary dinner expanded the way my mother's events always expanded, through individual exceptions that were not supposed to affect the whole. Her sister should come. Paul's former business partner would be hurt not to be included. The couple from across the street had hosted them for New Year's. The Langfords had missed the wedding because of dental surgery and therefore deserved another opportunity to eat near Diane. By the end of the week, the count was 32. The room holds 30, Tessa said over the phone. I've heard this song. This is not funny. It's a little funny. She said 2 people probably won't come. They always come. I know that now. She sounded so defeated that my amusement thinned. Call the restaurant, I said. Ask if they have a larger room. They do. It costs more. Then Mom can choose. She says it'll look empty. What do you want me to do? The question came out sharper than I intended. Tessa stopped. I don't know, she said. Nothing. I'm just telling you. That's new. I'm trying not to use you. You can talk to me. I don't know the rules. Neither do I. She laughed tiredly. That's not very reassuring. Do you want advice or an audience? An audience. Okay. She complained for 7 straight minutes. Diane had rejected ivory tablecloths because they looked old, and white tablecloths because they looked like a conference. Paul wanted a cash bar at his own anniversary dinner, which made no sense because he was paying the bill. The restaurant coordinator had used the word intimate, and Diane had decided it meant cramped. I listened without opening my laptop. When Tessa finished, she said, You didn't say anything. You ordered an audience. That was unsettling. Would you like 1 sentence of advice? Yes. Tell Mom 30 people or the larger room. Then stop offering additional options. What if she gets upset? She will. That's your advice? That's the complete package. Tessa chose the larger room. Diane complained it was too large. Tessa called me from the restaurant restroom, whispering so hard she sounded like a leaking tire. She's walking around counting empty spaces. Stop following her. I'm not following her. She keeps summoning me. Do you want advice or an audience? I want to fake my death. That is outside the available packages. In the background, my mother called, "Tessa?" Tessa whispered, "I hate you." "No, you don't. I understand you more," which is currently the same thing. She hung up. It would have been easy to enjoy her struggle. Some part of me did, not because she was miserable, but because each unreasonable request was arriving without me there to translate it. For once, Tessa was standing in the full weather of our mother. But she surprised me. She did not hand the folder back. She told Diane the guest list was closed. When one of Paul's cousins asked whether he could bring a companion, Tessa said no and survived his disappointed pause. She asked Evan to help choose the menu, then accepted his choice even when Diane preferred another entree. She forgot to order printed menus and decided nobody needed them. Each decision came to me afterward, not before. "I told Mom no," she would say. "How did it go?" She made tea aggressively. Or, Dad said whatever I thought was best. That means he dislikes it. I know, I chose it anyway. We were not repaired. We were learning how to speak without turning every conversation into a service request. Sam remained careful around her. When Tessa and Evan came to our house for dinner, he was polite but did not rescue pauses. He let Tessa carry dishes into the kitchen instead of telling her to sit. When she asked whether he liked the aquamarine earrings on me, he said, "I like what they cost now." Tessa went still. I touched his wrist. He looked at me. "Too much?" "A little." "I'm sorry," he told her. Tessa nodded. "It's okay." "No," Sam said. It was pointed. She looked almost startled by the clean apology. "Thank you," she said. Later, while Evan helped Sam load the dishwasher incorrectly, Tessa stood beside me at the counter. "Is he ever going to forgive me?" "I don't know." "Has he forgiven you?" "Mostly." "That sounds terrible." "It sounds honest." She rolled a wine glass stem between her fingers. "I didn't know I was asking you to choose," she said. "Yes, you did." Her eyes lifted to mine. "You didn't call it that," I continued. "Neither did I." She put the glass in the drying rack. At the end of the evening, she left without asking me to review the anniversary seating chart. I saw it anyway. Diane emailed it to me with the subject line, "Quick Eyes." I did not open the attachment. She called 6 minutes later. "Did you see my email?" I saw it. "There are 2 tables that feel unbalanced. Tell Tessa." She made the chart. "Then there are her tables. You're good at this. I'm not doing it. It would take you 5 minutes. That's not the point." "What is the point, Mara?" "I'm tired of everything having a point. The point is you asked Tessa to plan the dinner, and she did. I'm only asking you to look." "No." My mother became very quiet. "Sam is encouraging you to reject us," she said. "Sam isn't home. That doesn't mean he isn't influencing you. He is. People who love me influence me. We love you, I know." "Then why is his influence more important?" "Because he asks me what I want," she ended the call. The day before the anniversary, Paul asked if I could arrive at the Hawthorne room an hour early. For what? General assistance. What does that mean? "Your mother's worried about the place cards." "Tessa is handling them. She has a hair appointment. So does Mom. That's different." "How?" There was a pause. "Your mother is the guest of honor, and Tessa is the planner. You know, this new thing where you make everyone explain every request is exhausting. It's saving me a lot of time." He laughed before he could stop himself. 6 o'clock? He tried. "The dinner starts at 6:30. "I know. We'll be there at 6:20. Your mother won't like that. She has 31 other guests." 32. Of course. At 6:20, Sam and I walked into the Hawthorne room holding one wrapped gift and nothing else. I had never attended one of my mother's events with empty hands. The room was softly lit, with green walls, brass lamps, and one long bank of windows overlooking the river. There were 4 round tables instead of 3. The flowers were white and pink because Diane had changed her mind about color. No printed menus. Everything looked beautiful. Tessa stood near the entrance in a dark blue dress, speaking to the restaurant coordinator. A curl had come loose near her temple. She held a clipboard against her chest. "You're here," she said when she saw me. "It's 6:20. "I know. Is something wrong?" "Two people canceled an hour ago." I waited. She looked at me. I looked back. Then she laughed. "I handled it," she said. "I assumed you would. That was almost a compliment. It was exactly a compliment." Diane approached wearing silver and carrying a champagne flute. "You're late. The invitation says 6:30. Family comes early. Tessa told me everything is handled." My mother's eyes moved between us. "It is," Tessa said. Diane took a sip. "Good." She did not sound convinced, but she walked away. Sam leaned toward me. "Are we guests? We appear to be. What do guests do?" "I think they drink things and complain about parking. I have several thoughts about parking." We found our table. My place card sat beside Sam's. I picked his up and examined it. "Planning to steal my chair?" he asked. "Verifying existence." He turned mine over. "You also exist. Dinner began on time." Paul cried during his toast, which surprised everyone, including Paul. He talked about meeting Diane at a friend's barbecue and pretending to like olives because she was eating them. "I still hate olives," he admitted. Diane looked genuinely shocked. "You order them. For you. That is ridiculous. It worked." She kissed him while everyone applauded. For a while, the room softened around them. Whatever else my parents had taught us, they had loved each other stubbornly. Diane knew which shirts made Paul feel handsome. Paul warmed her side of the bed in winter. They had built a life out of habits that were both tender and infuriating. When dessert arrived, Diane stood to speak. She thanked Tessa for organizing the dinner. "She inherited my eye for beauty," she said, and apparently Mara's love of spreadsheets. A few people laughed. I looked down at my cake. Diane continued. "Although after the seating adventure at the wedding, we decided to keep Mara away from this guest list." The laughter was softer this time. Across the table, Sam's hand closed around his fork. My father said, "Die." She waved one hand. "It's a joke." I had heard versions of that joke all month. A mix-up, a spreadsheet adventure, Mara getting too intense. Each one shaved the truth down until everyone could hold it comfortably. I placed my napkin beside my plate. Before I could stand, Tessa did. The room quieted. My sister had gone pale, but her voice was clear. "Mara did not change the wedding list," she said. Diane's smile froze. "Tessa," she murmured. I did. Nobody moved. Tessa held the back of her chair with both hands. I removed 19 confirmed guests, including Sam, because Mom didn't like where some of her friends were seated. I told the planner those people had canceled. When they showed up, I blamed Mara. My aunt lowered her dessert fork. Linda Mercer looked at Evan. He reached for Tessa's hand but did not pull her down. Diane gave a small, disbelieving laugh. "Honey, there is no reason to go through all of this tonight. You brought it up. I made a joke about Mara. Mara knows I didn't mean anything by it." Every face turned toward me. For once, I did not help. Tessa looked at our mother. "She paid to fix it," she said. "She gave up her seat. She left because I lied about her, not because she ruined anything." Diane's eyes filled. "This is our anniversary." "I know. Then why would you humiliate us?" Tessa's grip tightened on the chair. "I'm not humiliating us," she said. "I'm telling the truth." My mother looked at me as if I had put the words in Tessa's mouth. I held her gaze. Then Tessa said the one thing none of us expected, and Mom knew I changed it. The room went absolutely still. Diane stared at Tessa. "I knew you were adjusting tables," she said. "I did not know what you told the planner. You gave me the names. I suggested people who might be flexible. They had confirmed. I didn't know that. Mara told us everyone on the chart had confirmed." My mother's face changed as she searched for a version of the conversation that would survive the room. "I never told you to lie." No, Tessa said. You told me to fix it. I chose to lie. Evan's thumb moved once across the back of her hand. Paul stood slowly. I think we should take this conversation outside. Why? Linda asked. It was the first word she had spoken. Paul looked at her. She placed her fork beside her plate. We were all present when Mara was blamed. Why should the correction be private? Frank touched her arm, not to silence her, but in quiet support. Diane looked around the room and seemed to realize that nobody was rushing to save her. Her sister was studying the tablecloth. The Langfords had gone very still. Sonia and Gabe sat beside each other with identical expressions of exhausted recognition. This is cruel, Diane said. Tessa flinched. I knew that word. Cruel meant my mother was no longer winning. Sit down, honey, she told Tessa. You've apologized. Mara accepted. I didn't, I said. Every face turned toward me again. Diane's voice sharpened. Then what more do you want? I didn't ask her to do this. She is doing it because you've made forgiveness impossible. Tessa released the chair. No, she said. I'm doing it because you made another joke about Mara. It was harmless. It wasn't true. Not every family story has to be presented like sworn testimony. Then tell a different story. For a second, I saw something in my mother that looked almost like fear. Not fear of being exposed. Fear of losing the language she used to keep us in position. If Mara was dependable, she could be burdened. If Tessa was sensitive, she could be excused. If Diane meant well, she could not be blamed. If Paul wanted peace, he never had to choose a side. The story had protected all of us from changing. My father looked at Diane. You did know they hadn't canceled, he said. She turned on him. You were at the table too. I was. You didn't object. No. His admission settled over the room. Paul was not brave often. He preferred delayed reason, quiet errands, and sentences with no subject. Watching him stand there, I understood that courage did not arrive in him as confidence. It arrived as embarrassment he finally agreed to endure. I should have, he said. Diane's eyes flooded. This was supposed to be a happy night. It was, Paul said gently. Then you made the joke. She looked at him as if he had crossed the room to join an enemy. The restaurant coordinator appeared near the door, saw the room, and disappeared again. My aunt cleared her throat. The cake is very good. Nobody responded. It was absurd enough that Sam made a sound beside me, half cough and half laugh. Sonia covered her mouth. Then Frank laughed quietly at first, and the tension cracked in several places. Even Tessa smiled. Diane did not. She sat down, placed her napkin in her lap, and said, Can we please finish dinner? We did. That was one of the strangest meals of my life. Conversation restarted in cautious fragments. The Langfords asked Sam about his work. Linda told me the patio heaters at the wedding had been surprisingly effective. Paul ate his cake without looking up. Diane thanked anyone who complimented the flowers as if she had arranged them herself. Tessa remained standing long enough to say one last thing. I'm sorry, Mara. This time there was no but. I nodded. Then she sat beside her husband. No one applauded. I was glad. Applause would have made the truth another performance. When dinner ended, guests hugged my parents and wished them many more years. Diane received each person graciously. She could be furious and well-mannered at the same time. It was one of her more impressive skills. I helped no one gather anything. Sam and I collected our coats and walked toward the elevator. Mara, Paul called. He came after us carrying the wrapped anniversary gift we had brought. You forgot this. That's for you. He looked down at it. Right. There was a faint streak of chocolate near his cuff. I'm sorry, he said. For tonight? For the wedding. Before the wedding. Some other things I'm probably going to remember at inconvenient times. I wanted to make it easy for him. Tell him I knew. Tell him he had done his best. Tell him Mom was difficult and Tessa needed more. And I understood why he had chosen the quietest route. Instead, I said, "Thank you." He nodded. "Your mother may need a little time. She can take it. She'll call. I'll decide whether to answer." He looked as though he wanted to object. Then he nodded again. "That seems fair." It was not an apology for everything. Nobody had an apology that large. The elevator arrived. Tessa slipped through the restaurant doors before they closed. Wait. She had left her coat behind. Her bare arms were covered in goosebumps. "I need to talk to Mara." Sam looked at me. "I'll get the car," he said. Evan remained near the restaurant entrance. Tessa gave him a small nod, and he went back inside. The elevator doors closed with just the two of us. Neither spoke as we descended. In the lobby, a wedding party was being photographed near the fireplace. The bride stood in the center, while 3 adults adjusted the train of her dress. Tessa watched them for a moment, then walked toward the glass doors leading to the river terrace. Outside, the air was cold enough to hurt my teeth. "You could have brought your coat," I said. "I wasn't planning ahead. That is on brand." She folded her arms. "I didn't decide to say all of that until Mom made the joke." "I know. I thought you might stop me." "Why?" "Because it was their anniversary." "You weren't wrong, because the timing was uncomfortable. That sounds like something you had to learn recently. It was expensive." Tessa looked through the glass at our parents. Diane stood beside Paul, speaking to her sister. Her posture was perfect. "She did know," Tessa said. "Not the email part. She didn't tell me to say people canceled, but she knew I was taking names off." "I believe you." She said Evan's friends had their own lives and wouldn't care. She said his cousins probably only accepted out of obligation. Then she saw Sam's name and said you'd be working anyway. I waited. Tessa pressed her lips together. I removed him first. The cold seemed to sharpen around us. Why? Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. Because I knew you would forgive me. There it was. Not because Sam mattered least. Because I was safest. I thought if anybody could absorb it, you could, she continued. I thought Sam would be annoyed, and you'd smooth it over, and later I'd buy you dinner or cry or say Mom made me crazy. I knew exactly which person I could hurt without losing. You chose me because I loved you. Yes. The word broke when she said it. I looked toward the parking lot. Sam's headlights moved slowly around the curve. That is the worst thing you've ever said to me, I told her. I know, and the most honest. She wiped her face. I don't want to be that person. Then don't be. What if I already am? You're also the person who stood up in there. That doesn't erase it. No. She nodded as if the refusal helped. I used to think Mom loved you more, she said. I stared at her. She trusted you. She told everyone how smart you were. She never worried you'd embarrass her. When I got upset, she would look for you, like you were the instruction manual. That isn't loving me more. I know that now. She didn't love you more either. What did she do? She gave us jobs. Tessa looked back through the windows. And Dad? He pretended jobs were personalities. She laughed softly. I am sensitive. I am capable. Both can be true. I still hate that phrase. Sam pulled up near the doors but did not honk. Tessa rubbed both hands over her arms. What do I do now? You tell the truth when it comes up. I will. You don't call me to manage Mom. Okay. You don't assume Sam's patience belongs to you because he loves me. Okay. And you don't ask if I forgive you every time we talk. Her face fell. Why? Because then I have to take care of your fear before I understand my own answer. She absorbed that. Coffee? She asked. Not tonight? Next week? Maybe. She nodded. It was not enough for her. For once, she let it be enough for me. I opened the car door, then turned back. Tess. She looked up. Get your coat. She laughed through her tears and went inside. Diane did not call the next day. Or the day after. On the third day, Paul texted to ask for the password to the restaurant's photo gallery. I told him it was in his email. He found it. A week later, Diane called while I was at work. I let it ring, listened to the voicemail, and learned that she wanted to invite us to dinner. No emergency, no accusation. I called her back that evening. Dinner was uncomfortable but survivable. My mother did not apologize. She also did not make a joke about the wedding. When Paul began clearing plates, she stood and helped him. Tessa did not look at me to see whether I noticed. Things changed in increments too small to celebrate. Paul began driving himself to appointments unless he genuinely needed help. Diane ordered her own gifts and forgot one birthday. Nobody died. Tessa called once in tears after an argument with Evan, then stopped herself and said, "I think I'm asking you to tell me he's wrong." "Is he?" "Not entirely." "Do you want advice or an audience?" "Neither. I should talk to my husband." She hung up and did. Sam did not forgive the wedding all at once. Trust returned through ordinary decisions. I declined a family dinner on his birthday without making him ask. When Diane called during a weekend we had planned away, I checked the voicemail instead of answering. It was about napkin colors for a dinner she was hosting. Sam watched me put the phone down. "Emergency?" he asked. "Beige crisis. Those can escalate. She has resources." He took my hand as we walked toward the hotel elevator. Months after the anniversary, Tessa met me at a coffee shop near my office. She arrived early. There was no folder on the table, no guest list, no seating chart, no yellow highlighter, just 2 coffees and the velvet box I had once considered returning, now empty because I was wearing the earrings. Tessa noticed them, but did not mention them. We talked about work, Evan's inability to load a dishwasher, and the way Diane had begun sending Paul to the grocery store with photographs of specific vegetables. Nothing was repaired dramatically. Nothing needed fixing before we stood to leave. My phone rang inside my purse. "Mom." Tessa glanced at me. "Do you need to get that?" I paused. Then I silenced it and picked up my coffee. "No," I said. "I'm here because I want to be."